moving through the galaxy. Can you hear me through the dark? I'm calling you. Where do I start? I'm an emotional, taking in your sweet and considerate heart. Come into my world, give me your spark. Time to land and visit the planet. Give me your try. Still I'm back, you sure? I'm the reason to come back here. Just don't linger too much, 'cause you're a stranger, baby. So come get to know me. Don't be a stranger now.
Intensely sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barr FTF Cup Series.
Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the apron. They are 5 wide. Ian Plass will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordy Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up, as they are going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Oh, get your front there.
He's got it. He's got it. Right there. No.
This is going to win. FTF.GG welcomes you to the virtual Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's the Barr Visuals FTF 500 Duels from Daytona, pretty much in the evening time. This race starting with the sun up. The next one, the lights will pretty much be on all the way around the 2.5-mile racetrack here at Daytona. Glad to have you with us here on FTF. Jacob Pitts, Caleb Hoffman, Kevin McAdams with you for duel number 1. I believe Kevin will be on the racetrack and Sean Butler will join us for race number 2. Gentlemen, qualifying is completely over. One less thing that Justin Melillo has to worry about. We're here at Daytona, set to do this, and it's pretty simple. Finish in the top 16, and you are locked in to the Barr Visuals FTF 500 next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun either way, seeing all these next gens on the high banks of Daytona here. I mean, you know what you're expecting when you come to Daytona, so seeing all these guys flying around at, almost 200 miles per hour is going to be fun for sure. Like you said, the top 16 going to be locked in here, so it's pretty simple. If you're at the back, you need to get up to the front, and if you're at the front, you need to find out a way to stay there. So I'm interested to see all these guys attempt to do that.
Let's take a look at our grid here tonight. Michael P. Frisch is your pole sitter for the Barr Visuals FTF 500. He is already locked in. If he finishes in the top 16, we then bump to the top 17. If Frisch doesn't finish in the top 16, guess what? He's already locked in with the pole. David L. Brown to his outside. Sean Butler in row 2 with Nathan Rabideau. We'll have some updates. There are things that drivers are locked in, even though they're not the pole sitter. We'll talk about that when we get the chance. Liam Brotherton, Chris Overland, couple of rookies there in row 3. Curtis Kelly, Garrett Conrath in row 4. Derek Justice, Lucas Plessel round out the top 5, and the field's on the back straightaway. So let's get the ante going. I'll fly through this. Ricky Burbank Jr., Zach Novak in row 6. Robert Dorman, Daniel Falkingham, Sebastian Marin, Scott Rickard, Michael Cozy Jr., Ethan Corder, Andrew Cootie, Daniel Botafuco. Next, Jack Mace, Garrison Hogan, Brandon Hawken, Blake Reynolds, Brody Kostecki, Corbin McCauley, Craig Arvanitis, Tyler Lanin, Garrett Sidner, Nick Roten, and then everybody else here. You've got Fred Anderson, Jackson Carr, Gary Sexton, Corey Cook, J.D. Willis, Ryan Nowrocki, Jonathan Oates, Nick Miller, Wyatt Tinsley, Matt Danson. Pace cars in. Let's have some fun. 60 laps on the board. We're racing from Daytona. Michael P. Frisch leads the first lap of duel number 1 here from Daytona. Little 3-wide action further back in the field. That's Chris Overland dropping further in the pack. One car started from the pit lane. They're flying by him there on the apron. That's Tyler Lanin. Garrison Hogan did the same thing. He's some 22 seconds behind the lead pack.
And you see everybody right now, just main priority here is getting into formation. 60 laps, you don't want to do anything stupid here. Just, again, get into formation and try to get comfortable here. You can see a few guys towards the back right now looking at Robert Dorman here with Zach Novak, and they got paired up there a little bit. But still right now, main priority for everybody is just to ride around at this point.
Kevin, you were part of the really the brains of the setup that these guys are running tonight. It's a variation of what we ran last night in the Bra Clash. Couple of changes were made. You can't really push hard in these cars. You're going to overcook the engine, and then you're going to be out of the race. No fast repair for these guys.
Yeah, and the whole point is to, the biggest issue I think that we've seen with this next-gen package, it is very top dominant, and a lot of that is because really have to push the entire time, and if everyone's pushing, that side draft really is going to play in and be the differing of the two lines. With this, you can't push quite as much. We turned the temperature down about 10 degrees in sim, so they'll be able to push a little bit longer. Once they're off the car, they'll be able to get cooled down a little bit quicker. But for the most part, this is what we're going to be running most likely for next week in the Alphabet Soup, the Tiny Text, and in the 500, give or take, maybe a little bit of an adjustment. But I think it's going to allow that inside line to be a lot better. And so far, we've seen that. Inside line still leading right now.
How about Sebastian Marin? Joined the league today. Put up a time to get himself into the duels here at Daytona. He qualified inside the top 20. And here he is now at the front, passing Michael P. Frisch, one of the former winners of the Barr Visual FTF 500, to get to the front, and he will lead the field around to the line.
And I mean, he started all the way back in the 8th row, and some of these rookies, don't let that title really confuse you. These are guys that do have lots of experience in and around the sim racing world. So these guys are going to provide a lot of speed to this series.
Another rookie there on that outside line, Liam Brotherton. That's at least a familiar name to some. He leads the top side. He was in the Brook Clash last night. He's got Derek Justice behind him. That's Coke Series driver there. And he'll push the 010 all the way to the lead. Drops to the bottom. Justice now leads the outside line with help from Frisch.
About to say, I think rookie stripes on some of these guys is just a formality, just because they haven't ran a lot of races with us. Liam, a former Coke driver, a little bit of trouble. They go through the grass. A little bit of a bad bump. That's what happens when you bump in the middle of the pack. Multiple drivers into the grass. That scatters the field. And Jake, that might actually break this up. Sidner, in the 50. He's a newcomer here.
Here's what happened. Lag, big part of that. One car lagged inside of Brandon Hawken. It was the 119 of Ricky Burbank. That's what caused everybody to lift. Sidner lifted the car behind him, did not, and that's what turned him down into the grass. It was the 94 of Fred Anderson that gave the boot to Sidner, and Sidner has lost the draft.
3 wide once again. That is, I believe that's Wyatt Tinsley, and Wyatt was incredibly aggressive. Incredible with that aggressive with that smile on his face. Every time I looked at the replay of the broadcast, he was all smiles, being 3 and 4 wide last night. And tonight's no different. He's got a huge shove from Mace, goes through the middle to the bottom, gets right in front of Frisch. And now we have 2 Kansas Pioneers, going to be 1 and 3 right now down the backstretch.
And he led at lap 10 and the lap 30 last night, put together a whole $10 of earnings after the Brook Clash last night. Was in a position to maybe get more, but a crash at the end of the race prevented him from getting inside the top 3. As pretty much the whole field wrecked off turn 4, and Ryan Noraki was the only one that could escape the carnage. Lap car out in front of them will go to the inside and get out of the way. It's J.D. Willis. Jackson Carr, by the way, he fell out of the server, so he is off the racetrack right now. He is right now 3 laps down, make it 2 laps down, but still 2 laps ahead of J.D. Willis for the time being. He's out in front. Jack Mace, the Brit, he leads the show. Tinsley and Justice there, 2nd and 3rd.
And right now, I was really surprised here by how quickly these guys got all packed up. As you see, starting to fan out once again. Wyatt Tinsley, with help from Derek Justice now to the front, leaving Jack Mace out to dry. And you can see right now just how aggressive they're being. They're not scared of being in this 3-wide pack formation. I thought that wreck, or near wreck, excuse me, would really qualm some of our issues here. But you see right here that they are not afraid to take it 3 wide. And maybe try more.
Here comes Cozy to the bottom. Michael Cozy Jr., one of your championship 4 from a season ago. Altus Esports driver, and nobody goes with him. And he will fall back to the clutches there of Curtis Kelly on the inside, another FTF rookie. Trying to push the 99 to the front. Meanwhile, that 3rd lane, that middle line. Oh, David L. Brown, there's contact, and around goes Kelly. Into David L. Brown, through the grass. Hawken goes down as well. Caution flag is out as they come back up the racetrack. Everybody keeps it pointed in the right direction. But multiple cars mowing the lawn to turn number 3 as they stacked up in the middle of the pack, involving David L. Brown, Brandon Hawken, Curtis Kelly, and others.
I think that might be the first safety caution of the evening. Most of the time, caution comes out with contact and someone gets fully spun around. In this case, everyone kept it together somehow. Even Kelly did not go all the way around. These guys did a fantastic job of avoiding carnage.
It's 46.
40 cars left. 40 cars left still.
Yeah, it's Dorman and David L. Brown, and they kind of just go to side draft each other at the same spot, and that's what results in the contact. 83 gets the worst of it there between him and the 46.
Yeah, and Robert Dorman right there, he had such a big run, and it's so hard here at Daytona when you have a run like that to just, again, try to restrain yourself from making a big move like that. And I think that was more of a racing deal than anything, just 2 guys going for kind of the same spot. But definitely can't be doing that here on lap 10.
And that's what race control decided. Racing deal. And I think Dave, he's so familiar with the super speedway packages. He's, I would say, arguably the best super speedway driver in the 87s. Obviously a lot different of a vehicle, but a lot of the elements come into play.
Kevin, Wyatt Tinsley just missed his pit box, and I think he's, what in the world is he doing? Is he doing a lap?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he just doesn't want to risk contact with anybody.
He just biffed it, and he's going to drive through everybody's pit stalls. He leaves first on the pit lane, but he did not get his box. Brandon Hawken did not either. So 2 drivers missed their pit boxes. Couple of guys taking just fuel, but a couple taking 4 tires as well. Derek Justice, Ricky Burbank, Andrew Cootie amongst those. So some strategy here under this first caution flag here in the duels at Daytona. They do have a limited tire set.
Well, regardless, Wyatt will go to the end along this line, because he drove through every box, and we have a system in place. 5 in, 5 out. He drove through about 40, so he'll definitely be heading to the back of the field.
Yeah. So let's try and explain how things work out as far as who gets in to the Barr Visual FTF 500 from this event. So, obviously, like we said at the top of the show, your top 16 from this duel move on. If Michael P. Frisch, who is already locked in as the pole sitter, if he finishes in the top 16, that expands to the top 17 on the racetrack. They advance. Then, we take the top 4 remaining fastest from qualifying. After that, your top 5 remaining highest from owner points from a season ago. There's a couple of cars going to come back onto pit road to top off here. So where we're at as far as drivers that are locked in here in this duel, no matter where they finish. Sean Butler, David L. Brown are both locked in. If they do not finish in the top 16, they fall back on speed. They are second and third as far as speed from this duel. They are in. Brendan Hawken and Blake Reynolds are in no matter where they finish. If they don't make the top 16, they will fall back on owner points from last year. Hawken and Reynolds both up high in the standings. Hawken second in owner points, Blake Reynolds third in owner points. Similar situation in duel number 2. We won't get to that until we get to it, just to try and keep your brains intact. But no matter where they finish, Frisch, Brown, Butler, Hawken, and Reynolds are locked in. We will see them next week. Everybody else, question is, can you finish inside the top 16?
And I mean, that's another thing. It's so fun about this event. It truly is just the best of the best here when you have just a pure finish in the top 16 or go home mentality. It really makes the duels feel like they mean something, which is lost sometimes.
And remember, if you don't get in on the top 16 and you can't fall back on speed or owner points from last year, there is another way to make it through the alphabet soup and through the tiny text, which is next Friday. So how that'll work is the remaining drivers from the duels, they'll be in the tiny text, as well as the top 10 from the C main, 125 laps for them. The winner goes on to the FTF 500. Only one driver from that race moves on to the big show if they want. They could opt to just keep the money, and that option would go down to second place as far as whether or not they wanted to go on to the 500. Back to green, 12 laps complete in duel number 1.
And as a shock to nobody, we are shoving all through the corner. Cozy all over the rear end of Liam Brotherton, and that outside line did not get going. They did not have much of any connection. Sean trying to get that 13 at Buttafuoco going. They've had a couple altercations in the past year or so, but they're going to be frenemies for right now. Cozy goes to the top, and that hangs out Brotherton. Cozy looking to get the lead out of turn 4.
Brotherton picks up the bottom. Nick Miller down there. Try and revitalize that inside line, but Michael Cozy Jr. will lead the lap here at the start-finish line. Buttafuoco in second. Butler side by side with Brotherton for third. Robert Dorman right behind in fourth. Nick Miller on the bottom looking for that spot as well. But we talked about already how the high side is so dominant in these race cars. And we'll see if they decide to Dale Jr. line it here behind another junior and Michael Cozy Jr.
Yeah, and I mean, that outside line really had to get recuperated quick. They had a few almost stack-ups there trying to get up through the gears. Sebastian Marin, who we were talking about earlier, almost went around. And then Daniel Buttafuoco had to go up and join that lane as well, and it stacked them all up once again. So while you are glued to the back bumper of the guy in front of you here, it's just so paramount that you don't accidentally turn him, because that is so easy to do here with these next-gen race cars.
We even saw it last night in the duels, even though they kind of flattened the nose out a little bit. Tyler Lanin is on the pit lane right now into his box for service. Even though they changed the nose on the Chevy, it's a little less pointy. That doesn't make it much easier to push in these race cars. It's still very, very difficult. Plus, add the added risk of overheating the engine too much and blowing a motor.
Yeah, I mean, being in the pack yesterday, I had a couple close calls, even with Malik. The one thing that is hard to really see, too, with these cars is the amount of movement that happens when a car side drafts you. We saw with David Brown and Robert Dorman, just having a guy go within a couple feet of your car, it will suck you in It is a very bizarre feeling that, we haven't really had to have on iRacing of, dynamic aerodynamics where, a guy comes next to you, slows you down, but not only that, he's pulling you back and to the side. It is a very scary feeling of lack of control and trying to push someone through that middle lane. Doing that, it is very difficult. So if these guys can keep it together for the entire 60 laps, I'll be incredibly shocked. We've already seen one incident, but right now, up front, pretty quiet right now. I think that's the way it's going to be up until we have maybe some pit stops or maybe the last 20 laps or so.
And there was a time about a year ago to this point where the 3 lanes was very easy in these next-gen cars. After we saw what the next-gen cars could do on the racetrack, that kind of fizzled out, at least on iRacing a little bit, and what we have now is that middle line, pretty much no man's land until the end of the race if you have enough cars running. Right now, some guys trying to get that middle line to work. I believe Andrew Cootie is the car that's trying to lead that middle line around. They're up to about 3rd on the inside line, but the problem is they've still got about 6 cars to pass up top.
Yeah, and I mean, watching this middle line is so interesting as you see Andrew Cootie right now, Dorman dropping down in front of him, but it goes up and Dorman.
Oh my God.
That's twice. Says he got tight.
Dorman went to the middle, and it looked like a parachute was let out. It looked like he just lifted off the gas, and he said he got tight, but
yep,
that was really bizarre. And I think after that, everyone's like, yeah, I'm not working with that 46 the rest of the evening.
Here comes Jack Mace up the middle, 3 wide, drop to the bottom, kind of let Dorman do his thing, and now here he comes with the push up the middle from Wyatt Tinsley, and Tinsley, that was quick, back to front. Here he goes, Novak to the bottom, another Coke Series driver, and the 3 wide is gone from the moment. 1 car stuck in there, Gary Sexton, everybody else double wide.
Sean Butler pleading with the lap car of Lanen to go to the apron, but I think Lanen's going to just stay on track and try to get back with this field. Had an unscheduled pit stop. He will be the first car 1 lap down once he gets lapped here in the tri-oval. Still side by side for second. But Wyatt Tinsley has shown he is going to be, I'd say, the ultimate aggressor so far in the speed weeks. Very aggressive last night, very aggressive tonight. He's got a lot to prove being a Coke Series rookie. He's got a lot to prove missing out on the championship last season. Lost it by only a handful of spots to Kevin King. I think he's going to have a great 2023 season.
And that handful of spots, 1. He tried to make the move on Kevin King, turn 3 last lap at Phoenix. Just came up short. And in the end, Kevin King won his first FTF Cup Series championship. So he's out in front now, and you have to wonder, at least for the Coke guys, how much these guys are using this for experience for the Coke Series season opener. Which is coming up Valentine's Day. That's 3 days rather, after the Barr Visual FTF 500 that you'll see here on FTF.gg.
And I mean, not even on the Coke side of it, I've been watching a lot of these rookies who have just been trying to get a feel for what this field race is like, and you got to familiarize yourself with a lot of these names, because not only for Daytona, but seeing everybody else. And yeah, big from Budafuco right there, blocking up there. Wyatt Tinsley and he are going to hook up there. And now here comes Cozy around Mace for the lead.
Yeah, Jack Mace got the inside line stacked up, and he's going to pay the price by getting dumped by Cozy. Sean Butler's going to go with him. Mace is going to drop back to outside the top 10, just like that. That's how fast things can change here at Daytona. And car 99 back out in front, 20 laps complete, 40 to go.
Butler was giving Cozy the shove of a lifetime down the back. Mace went down to block it. Butler had no idea that he went low, and Cozy just pretty much just ran over Mace because of that. And that's one thing with this giant 6-inch spoiler, even though some of it is clear with the clear Lexan, you can't see in front of the guy in front of you. So you got to have a little bit of communication through driver chat, which is something we fortunately do have here in iRacing. If you can communicate, it helps a ton, whether through Discord, through TeamSpeak, wherever you're at, with your teammates, and then through driver chat in the sim itself. It's very helpful to be able to manufacture runs, be able to make sure you're not going to run someone over like what just happened. Keep these cars green, keep it clean.
Just 7 days to the Barr Visual FTF 500 here on FTF.gg. You'll see that 9:15 p.m. Eastern is when we go live. You can still sign up not only for the 500 but for the whole FTF season. How that works, go to FTF.gg for more information. You'll get all the info you need. If you sign up and you want to run the 500, that's great. We will see you then Friday. You will be entered into the D main. The top 10 from that goes to the C main. The top 10 from that to the Tiny Text. The winner to the Barr Visual 500. If you so choose, you could also just keep the money that you would get from winning that race. That'll be all Friday night. That's 200 laps in and of itself. If you make it from the D main to the end of the Tiny Text. That's a 500-mile race as it is. 25 laps in the D main, 50 in the C main, 125 in the Tiny Text. The Barr Visual FTF 500 you'll see in its entirety on Saturday night. Again, 9:15 Eastern is when we are live. A warning for the 119 internet issue. Remember, he caused that incident on the back straightaway. Rather, on the front straightaway at the start of this race. Zach Novak, your race leader.
And you see he and Sean Butler paired up now. He made a big move to go to the outside there just a few laps ago, and Michael Cozy Jr. and he were paired up together. Right now, you're starting to see everybody get a little more aggressive with the bumping. As they've gotten a little settled in, I think they are feeling comfortable to be able to test out some pushing in the corners. You see Cozy right now, big bump right now to Mace, and Novak going to go up and block that as well. And I mean, they are shoving each other at this point here, and these cars are fine. So it's just a really fun time.
Lap car ahead, that's Corey Cook. He's going to drop to the apron here, I think, going into turn number 1. I hope he slows down enough. I heard Sean Butler come over the radio there, Kevin, and tell Zach Novak, go ahead to the outside. I'm overcooked right now. The engine getting pretty hot.
And Naraki, he won the clash, but I mean, let's be honest, that was pretty all over the place as far as who was up front. But he was telling me he honestly likes something like this because it introduces, when you push, how long you push. You got to think about your next move, and if you're a guy who's used to being able to push every 30 seconds for 2 laps, you're going to overcook your car. And you're going to be in a position you can't help the guys around you, and they're going to want to put you to the back. If you can keep your car clean and cooler compared to the rest of your drivers around you, I think that'll help being able to stay up front. I've seen a lot of these guys stay up front the entire time. Wyatt Tinsley, Michael Cozy Jr., Sean Butler, all elite super speedway drivers, and we've seen some guys who have had to stop pushing, guys like Andrew Cootie, and that has hindered the line that they're in, and that's happening right now at that inside line. The outside line is going nowhere out of 2.
Caleb, it almost reminds me of the 2012 package on the Gen 5, where after the intervention of bump drafting that they use at the plate tracks, they changed it up a little bit. The bumpers were a little more curved on the 2012 car, and really, you could only push for 2 laps before the car would overheat, and it would just be worthless. You might as well just hang in the pack.
Yeah, I mean, it's even added another element of strategy. Like Kevin was saying there, you really got to think about how much you push, when you push. It's not just a blind sit in the cockpit and shove the guy ahead of you. You got to think about what you're doing here, and it's really just added a great element here, where you see some of these guys once again who do have that super speedway racing ability are able to almost go back to front at will because they know how to manipulate the air around them and follow the energy here.
Speaking of follow the energy, here comes the 75 of Zach Novak to the outside, pushed Brotherton to the lead, and now he's going to drop out in front with the help from Cozy, but the bottom side hanging tough. Sebastian Marin back up here at the front, pushing Brotherton. You ride on board the top of Novak. Cars coming to pit road this time. Marin is one. David L. Brown is one. Can they all make it onto pit road safely without speeding? The 5 cars that do, Rabideau, Hawken in there, Conrath, Brown, and Marin, all clean. No black flag. The leaders in turn 1, Kevin.
And this reeks of a Nexus organized group of pit stops. If there's anyone that's good at this, it's Nexus, not only in strength in numbers, but strength in their super speedway racing and their teamwork. And I think with the way this package has been, heat having to be a factor, guys side drafting, Cozy doing that right now all over Cozy and Jack Mace as they go through 3 and 4. This is a strategy to get themselves away from the pack and in front of the disastrous big one that could happen at any time. And as soon as I say that, here comes the rest of the field. Trouble.
Novak got into the back of one car, turned it sideways. He's going to hit Brotherton. They all make it onto pit road. It was Curtis Kelly that got kicked sideways. And again, no black flags for the dozen or so cars that come onto the pit lane. But a little bit of damage, I think, here to car number 75.
Did Curtis Kelly pit from the third lane? He did. Oh, my goodness. Rule number 1 for pitting.
Get to the bottom.
From the top.
Yeah. JJ Yaley found that one out the hard way. Here it is. Just
what a save.
Late, but a great... Can you tell he's a Coke driver? Let's try it again. I think Brotherton's going to... Oh, no, he got bodied there by Kelly. Great save by both those guys. Everybody else staying on the racetrack this time by. It's the field back to the start-finish line. Cozy out in front here, Caleb.
And Cozy now has another Altus Esports driver behind him, and Matt Danson. These two have been together forever, it feels like, and just know each other so well. You know, and we might see a coordinated move by them to get onto the pit road, maybe lead some of these guys. You see Andrew Cootie up here, Sean Butler as well. So when we see these guys split off here soon. But I mean, you see how comfortable they are together right now, just shoving each other down the backstretch.
Nick Miller asks the question that everybody's asking: are you guys pitting anytime soon? Really no answer from the guys at the front of the field. I'm sure they're going to want to sit on that. But Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, these guys pitting, the Nexus guys pitting when we saw them, that second group of cars, they're going to be able to make it to the checkered flag here as long as we don't go to overtime as far as fuel?
I would say yes. I think, you know, this car has so much drag. But I do think that the fuel window is around 38 to 40. I have personally not tested it. It's not something that we're worried about too much as far as restricting it. So we really haven't tested it. But I'd say with this, that they not only can make it, I'd say they're good for at least a green-white checkered or two. But with this pack being a little bit different, a couple different players up here at the front. Danson, you mentioned him, getting in touch with his teammate with Cozy, Nick Roten, as they lap. That's Gary Sexton. They're going to be 3 wide. But this is going to make it, I'd say, an advantage for these guys who have stayed out because not as much organization. These guys are still 3 wide, almost 4 wide at times. And that's going to be a big advantage for these guys who have pitted early.
Nick Roten's just trying to find some place to go. He was your leader. And now he's dropped back with Gary Sexton, the lap car. And now a number of drivers jumping up to the high side. Michael Cozy Jr. telling the field, follow me to freedom. Andrew Cootie not giving up. He's leading on the bottom side here down the back straightaway.
And again, once again, you see these two paired up right now, but lots of new faces up here in this pack now. I mean, you see Garrett Sidner is up here. Andrew Cootie has been around this spot. Ricky Burbank as well. Sean Butler's fallen back just a little bit, but seeing guys like Tyler Landon, Jonathan Oates, Chris Overland, who we saw at the front, get sucked in through that middle lane and really hasn't been a factor since. All these guys now find themselves up within the top 10, 15 cars even, so it's a completely new dynamic up here for this pack.
Lap car ahead, that's Curtis Kelly. The bottom goes to the middle. He'll hold the yellow line. And so far we've avoided disaster as far as the lap cars. Once again, Burbank blinking down on the bottom. That cannot help Cootie and those on the inside line when the car that you want to push from isn't there half the time.
Burbank's already gotten 2 warnings for his internet. I think strike 3, he'll have to move out of the way, out of the pack. But give a shout out to, you know, this is a international hobby, I would say, sim racing, and we got guys from all over the place, Europe, guys like Cosman, guys like Brody Kostecki, of all people, in Australia, Aussie Supercars driver Brody Kostecki there in 5th. But looking at the times, it's about a second faster for those that are up in this, I'd say a second slower for these guys in this lead pack. This pack of Buttafuoco, Derek Justice, Jack Mace, I believe that's Falkingham, and Wyatt Tinsley, they're about a second faster than this giant pack. And a big part of it is they're running the bottom. The other factor, no side draft to deal with, not as much heat in that pack. I think these guys that have pitted early are in a very good spot. If I was looking at this and if I was a spotter or a crew chief for any of these guys, I would be organizing a pit stop strategy as soon as possible.
Well, Nick Roten, party of one. He comes onto pit road here. Nobody goes with him. Bold call there for the rookie driver in the 60. And you talked about this league being international here, Kevin. So Curtis Kelly out of Canada. Sebastian Marin out of Puerto Rico. Jack Mace out of the UK. Brandon Hawken out of Canada. Kostecki and Matt Danson both out of Australia. And then Corbin McCauley, he's out of Canada as well. Plus you have just about everybody else from all across the United States, Florida, Kentucky, New Jersey, Iowa, all the way up to Maine, all the way out far as west as California, as here comes Cootie and several others to pit lane. There is no way that 119 makes it. Black flag, Burbank, and he spins. Oh, man, how did Overland miss him? No black flag for him, but Burbank sped by 20 mile an hour, and he's going to have a long sit here in the pit box, in the sin bin, with 25 laps to go.
Well, not only that, but so not only has this big group lost time now, but as well, they're going to be a little more spread out because everybody kind of reacted to that a little differently. So instead of being one big organized pack coming off this pit lane, they're going to have to, it's going to take them a little bit to get regrouped how they came on. So this is a big loss of time for this pack right here. Oh, and I think Garrett Conrath might have just blown a motor.
Garrett Conrath has blown up in turn one. Conrath was in the draft behind Novak going into turn number one. And when they got to turn one, Novak pulled out to give air to Novak, rather to give air to Conrath. I think Conrath knew he was in trouble. And just moments later, kabam. There goes the 900 up in smoke. He is not somebody locked in, at least not yet. The good news for him, he was in the top 20 as far as speed is concerned. So there's a chance that, top 20 is in speed. So there's a chance that he could fall back on his qualifying time since his race is done. No faster pairs. That's the night for the 900.
We talked about earlier, risk versus reward with pushing. A little bit easier to run hot, a little bit easier to blow up. And Garrett Conrath, the first victim of the night, to do just that. And those guys were catching and were pretty fast relative to the pack in front of them. They were losing a 10th here and there, gaining a 10th here and there, and they were currently in a very good spot during that green flag stop run. That third round of pit stops, they are way behind the first two packs. These guys still in this lead pack, racing very hard, and I think every single lap that they stay out, they're going to be at even more of a detriment. I'm very surprised that these guys still haven't pitted, but that's a really unfortunate for Garrett. After that, Novak pretty much over the comm said, let me know. we gotta work together here to make our way in, and let me know if you're hot. I'll move out of the way, or I'll tell you to move that to the back of the pack. Got to be teammates here.
Garrett Conrath officially parked the car. He is out of the Barr Visual FTF Duels. And we'll see if he can fall back on time. It really depends on duel number 2. If he is in the top 5 fastest remaining, rather top 4 fastest remaining, he gets in. Otherwise, he'll be stuck on the outside looking in, and we'll have to go through the soup on Friday. A reminder, 21 laps to go. If you look on the screen, the drivers' names that are in green, they're locked in. Caution. No, that's not a caution. That's a sponsor. You're scaring the crap out of me, Zach. Novak leads the field to turn 1. No, Cozy. I know who you are. That's Cozy. Gosh. See what you do.
Oh, no. There was just a really bizarre accident. Liam Brotherton is spinning in turn 4.
Caution's out.
Very bizarre accident with the net code. We'll have to get a replay of it. I don't know how I saw what I saw.
What in the world? NASCAR heat.
Brandon Hawken shoved Marin into the rest of the field, and that sent around Liam Brotherton. Thankfully, not a lot of contact, but we have seen that several times in the last few months. You'll see it here on the replay. Hello, Super Mario Kart boost right here.
Got a mushroom. And just, wow.
Yeah, and that is
huge.
That's strange. Like you said, that's very reminiscent of what would happen in like NASCAR Heat Online. I don't know if I've ever seen that on iRacing, but strange accident.
I've seen it a handful of times, unfortunately.
On board with Marin.
I think Jordan Worth had a very popular clip on Twitch that showed it. Oh my God!
What's
he was just along for the ride.
My goodness. Well,
this changes everything.
Caution is out. Yeah. So with 20 to go now, we're coming to 19 to go. Lucky Dog is Tyler Lanen. Cozy is your race leader. Cars that are still a lap down here: Sexton, Cook, Kelly, Roten, McCauley, Oates, Dorman, Overland. Burbank is down 2. Pit road is open. And at least the guys that haven't pitted yet are going to make the stop. And some drivers will choose to stay out. Daniel Falkingham, who pitted earlier, is among them.
I think this is honestly a break for guys like Butler, like Cozy, because I think they would have been 10 to 12 seconds, if not further back, and they would have been outside the top 16 by a pretty large margin. So this is a huge break for them. Inversely, the beneficiaries of this, as far as track position, are the guys that decided to pit earlier. And I think they were obviously in a better spot, but they're still in a great position with the track position. The way this package has been, you want to stay up front and you want to continue to keep that track position. I don't think these guys are going to want to go to the back anytime soon the rest of the event.
While we're here, we'll step aside, take a quick break. I know there are a lot of folks watching. Stay with us. We've got a lot more coming your way. The restart coming your way next here on FTF.GG. Back here on FTF.GG as we get set to go for the restart. We'll have 17 laps to go here in the Barr Visuals FTF 500 Duels. Jacob Pitts, Caleb Huffman, Kevin McAdams with you for duel number 1. Kevin is on the pole for duel number 2. Sean Butler is in this race. He will join us for race number 2. Let's reset here. 8 cars stayed out under this caution flag: Daniel Falkingham, Daniel Botafuco, Derek Justice, Jack Mace, Wyatt Tinsley, Michael P. Frisch, Liam Brotherton, and Zach Novak. Michael Cozy Jr., the first one off the pit lane. He took fuel only. Sean Butler, first car with 4 tires. Garrison Hogan took 2. Green flag, 17 to go.
And you saw a big move right there up to the top lane for Daniel Falkingham. And that's going to let that inside line with Derek Justice and Wyatt Tinsley try to get formed back together. And you see a little bit of indecisiveness there from Falkingham as he started to see that inside lane go. And that stacked up that outside lane even worse. So they got to get together here to start working together, or else they're going to fall back again.
Top 16 advance right now, with Frisch being inside the top 16. That advances to the top 17 on the racetrack. That move on to the Barr Visual FTF 500. You will see that a week from tonight right here on FTF_GG. Derek Justice leads, Wyatt Tinsley second. Here comes Novak to the outside. Matt Danson a car length behind him with help from Falkingham.
And I was going to say that outside line just was not the place to be. As soon as I say that, the rest of the field has decided to make me look like an idiot. Wyatt goes to the top, Derek goes to the top, Novak Danson went out to the top and turned four. That allows Bustle and big trouble in the back.
Oh, Greg Arvanitis, big damage. Gary Sexton is in it. And the caution flag is out for the third time in the duel. Number one, Robert Dorman has damage.
Craig
Arvanitis was the first car I saw sideways, and he got turned, staggered 4 wide. Going into turn number 1, Andrew Cootie making the initial contact. Coming back down across the racetrack, Jonathan Oates involved with it, and it's Dorman that piled it on in. Here's the replay. Watch the 43.
And I don't know if that was just indecisiveness again out of Arvanitis there, but either way, and you see big hit from Dorman right there as he washes back down across the racetrack, and these things will happen at Daytona.
Yeah.
Dorman had about 45 feet of track to the right and decided to go right to the apron.
Well, and here's the thing. Arvanitis can't go to the high side because he's got Sean right on his outside. So I don't think he wanted to go to the bottom, but because Sean was there, he really didn't have anywhere to go. It's just the Cootie was already to his inside by that point, and that's why he got turned.
Yeah, he had a huge run, Arvanitis did. He was 195 on the exit of the tri-oval, slowed down, checked up because of the 2 and almost 3 wide with him and Butler. And like you said, Cootie just right on his left side. And Dorman, oh my gosh. Go to the top.
She started 13th. 18th in the owner points. And he may need to rely on it with the amount of damage that he has to the front end. He may be okay in the draft, maybe. But he's not going to be able to lead a line with the damage he has on the front end of that race car.
I had 2 minutes of damage yesterday in the clash, and I went from the back to about third. So I think as long as he's in the draft, he'll be okay. He'll definitely have to get something fixed if there's anything suspension related. But that was a hellacious hit.
Yeah.
A couple guys coming in here. Most of them in the back.
Yep. David L. Brown is one of them. Sebastian Marin, Curtis Kelly. Those involved in the crash back there. Dorman. Jonathan Oates is coming to pit road. Gary Sexton has parked the car, so he will have to go through the soup to try and make the Barr Visual FTF 500.
And I mean, looking right at this bubble, you know, there are just a lot of big names right here. You have Michael Cozy Jr. in 17th, Naraki 18th, Blake Reynolds 19th, Sean Butler's sitting 20th, Nathan Rabideau 21st, Andrew Cootie, Ethan Quarter, David Brown's outside the top 16 right now. So all these guys with 14 laps to go, the urgency's really turned up for some of these guys that aren't locked in and do want to race their way in to try to spare yourself a long Friday night next week.
Somebody want to guess your top 4 drivers for tomorrow's clash in Los Angeles?
I saw Haley was on the pole, but I don't remember anything else.
I have not seen anything. I have no clue.
Justin Haley is your pole sitter. Kyle Busch is P2.
Shout out.
Christopher Bell P3. William Byron is 4th. So 3 Chevys and a Toyota. They'll start on pole in each heat tomorrow.
And
yeah, the way you were saying that, it was making me think that we had like BJ McLeod.
Cody Ware is on the pole. No.
Well, in practice, Brad Keselowski was getting beat by. I think the pace car had a faster lap than him. Let's put it that way. He was slow. I don't know where he wound up in qualifying, but
definitely not last.
Yeah, there's a reason he's going to SRX this year for the full season.
Nonetheless, we're double filed up here getting ready for the restart. For those of you just joining us, we're in duel number 1 here from Daytona for the Barr Visuals FTF 500 Duels. Your top 16 advance to the 500 next week. If Michael P. Frisch, who is your pole sitter, is in the top 16, which right now he's P13, we extend that to your top 17 since he's already in. Drivers in green already locked into the race next week. Frisch in because of the pole. Hawken and Reynolds are locked in because if they don't make the top 16, they can fall back on owner points. They're second and third. If David L. Brown and Sean Butler don't make it, they're also in green. They make it in based off of time. Top 4 remaining, fastest from qualifying, they move on to the 500 after the duels are done. Between both duels, so top 4 combined. And then your top 5 combined, remaining highest in 2022 owner points, move on. Everybody else, we will see them in the Tiny Text 500K, 125 laps. That's on Friday night. The D main starts us out, 25 laps. Those are the drivers that missed qualifying or at the very tail of qualifying as far as speed. Your top 10 from the D main move on to the C main. That's 50 laps with more drivers from qualifying. And then your top 10 from the C main move on to the Tiny Text. Join your folks that didn't make it from the duels. Your winner there has the opportunity to move on to the race on Saturday. Green flag, 12 laps to go.
There was a lane change.
Wyatt Tinsley with the black flag. Caution is out. Craig Arvanitis and Tyler Lannon is around. He got turned. Arvanitis came down and bodied him into Chris Overland, it looks like. And Lannon took a hard hit to the inside wall. So Tinsley has a black flag for changing lanes before the start-finish line, so he's going to the back.
And we'll get a replay right here, but this is bad from the 43 of Arvanitis right here. I mean, right here, you see him start to get stacked up. The 43 going to go high and then just comes right back down into Tyler Lannon, and he was, rightfully frustrated over the radio on that one. And, I get getting stacked up there, but you got to listen to your spotter and see that there's a car low right here.
Yeah, so Tinsley David Reaganed himself and changed lanes before the line. And Arvanitis, wow. I mean, what in the world? That's a hard hit for Lannon. That's going to hurt him there.
Race chat is in shambles right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard a Justin Lillo scream.
He accidentally said that, we're going to have a green light checkered anyway, and everyone's like, there's 12 to go, my guy. And he's like, well, Justin has not had a lot of sleep. He
has had a long day.
He has had a very, very long day.
Craig Arvanitis has been given an EOL, as has Tinsley. Tinsley for the restart violation, Arvanitis for the swerve.
Accident. Yep.
And here are these two down the back straightaway.
Lannon's left front has not moved an inch. If you look at his left side, it is definitely smushed in. There it is.
Yeah, that's broke.
That's not ideal. I'd say
that's one way to turn right to go left. Yeah.
I don't think the fabulous Hudson Hornet would want to be doing that.
Ask Frank DeAngelis. Got the paint scheme. We'll see him here in duel number 2.
Yes.
Toward the back of the field. He's in row 17. So, I think this is our 4th caution flag of the night. We're going to get a restart with 8 laps to go. Here in duel number 1, Derek Justice, your leader. Garrett Sidner has blinked out, and he's back. Okay. So I'm plummeting through the leaderboard, but he's back on the racetrack now.
And if you're a guy who is trying to play it safe and get your way in on owner's points, if you're, 5th through 8th, 6th through 12th, I know Naraki was begging and pleading me to run a really good lap for, so I didn't have to use my owner points. I think he's in like 11th or something like that. But if now that Wyatt is way back in 33rd, he will most likely be one of those guys if he ends up staying back here. So that's one spot, but we'll see if he can make his way through. A lot of different scenarios getting your way in, a lot of ways to get out. I know a few years ago, I think I was the last guy in on owner's points, thanks to David Schildhouse making his way in with about 10 minutes of damage on the final lap. So you never know until it's over.
Well,
and we've
like
still got a
Tinsley
long
just
way to
said,
go.
like Tinsley just said, this is his third time now going for the back to the front. He started in the 39th position to start this race and had to drop back earlier after missing all of his pit box. 7 days to the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Registration ends Friday. For more information, go to ftf.gg for more information. Not only are you signing up for the race, you're signing up for the season. The season, we take a week off for the real Daytona 500. We rejoin you at Auto Club. These are all Saturday night races. Auto Club, Vegas, The Rock, Atlanta, Texas,
Ugh.
Richmond with the second annual Justin Malillo, Bristol Dirt, Talladega, that's a Sunday race. Then there's a week off. We go to Dover, go to Kansas, that's a Sunday. Wilkesboro, week off, All-Star. Gateway, Road America, the World 600K from Charlotte, Nashville, doubleheader in Chicago with the street course and then the oval. And then we take the rest of July off, and then we come back at the end of the month with another doubleheader, New Hampshire and Pocono. And then just like that, we're only 6 races away from the playoffs. It'll come by quick. I promise you. It'll come by quick, and we'll wind up in July and try and figure out how in the world we only have 6 races to the playoffs. Couple of changes in the playoffs this year. Iowa in the playoffs.
Yes.
We end the season at Auto Club and Old Atlanta. Instead of Martinsville and Phoenix, they're still in the playoffs, just shifted early a couple of races. Derek Justice, Zach Novak on your front row. Green flag with 8 laps to go in duel number 1.
And you see this this outside lane once again not really getting going. Lucas Plessel right there was not all the way to the back, and everybody else was trying to shift down to this inside line. And that's really what we've seen here on these restarts is that inside lane goes. It takes this outside lane just a second to get formed up into full speed.
2x2, second on back, down the back straightaway.
Oh.
Justice leading the outside line. Here comes
Big stack
Danson.
up.
Help from Garrison Hogan. The inside line stacks up. Matt Danson, the Aussie, out in front, coming to 7 laps to go.
Side by side, about the first 6 rows, but in that transfer area, Hawken, Miller, Butler, Naraki, all stacked up in the middle of the backstretch. They are 3 by 3 by 3. Here comes Hawken in the middle. They're going to be 4 wide almost. Garrison tried to block it. Did not get there in time. Here comes Butler underneath Hawken. Here comes that second lane. And Buttafuoco and Mace on that second lane as well. 3 wide again. Butler still in the middle trying to get that moving.
Garrison Hogan owes Derek Justice a Christmas card right there because he lifted to prevent them from wadding the whole field up in the tri-oval. Zach Novak, your leader. Buttafuoco to push. Here's Falkingham with help from Nick Miller on the bottom. Novak covers the bottom. That'll leave the top wide open for car 13, coming to 6 to go.
And just not a lot of real estate right now as you see everybody getting packed into 3 wide formation. Cozy trying to lead that middle lane, but it's almost like an ocean tide just going back and forth from which lane is side sucking the other. And it's just so hard to move if you are one of these guys in the middle lane. You can see that by everybody fleeing from it the first chance they get. Not great right now for Cootie and Cozy.
Yeah, Cozy trying to lead that charge. They're about the 17th position right now. That's where that third line resides.
Oh,
Little wiggly up there. Hawken gets squirrely. He holds on. The field fans out. Trouble in the back. One car turned to the outside wall. Wyatt Tinsley involved in this. Corey Cook, Jonathan Oates.
Marin.
Corbin McCauley up on the outside wall. Sebastian Marin, Scott Ricard. And we are going to have a restart with 2 or 3 to go with another crash midway through the field. Brandon Hawken was the first car I saw get out of shape. But I believe there is more to the story than that.
This was a massive checkup. I'm trying to see who hit Plusle first, but Kostecki involved as well. 6, 8, 10 drivers. Jonathan Oates involved. Corey Cook, as you mentioned. Wyatt Tinsley slid through the grass for about 1,200 yards to avoid it.
Yeah, I think that outside lane, it's a 3-car group, Fred Anderson, Scott Ricard, and Brody Kostecki. They get, again, stacked up with this contact in front of them, and Plusle hits the brakes, and Anderson back into Ricard, and then Kostecki gives him that tap on the rear bumper, which sends him right down into Corey Cook, and Corey Cook makes contact with Marin, sends him back up in the field, and it's on from there.
Yeah, big checkup way in the front. It was Garrison Hogan again next to Hawken. He checked up big. Derek checked up big. Plusle checked up, and Fred Anderson got into the back of Plusle, and it set a very large accordion. A lot of these guys just nowhere to go. Kostecki, nowhere to go. Oates, nowhere to go. And that's unfortunate. But the nice thing about this car, if you can keep it at 2,000 RPM and that car is driving straight, you got a shot to make this draft work and get through the rest of the field. Long way to go, even with a couple laps to go.
Drivers involved in the crash come to the pit lane. Reminder that we've still got another duel coming up. This is the end of Duel 1. Another 60 laps are on the docket here for us. We're going to be a little behind schedule. The second race was supposed to start at 10 o'clock, and I hope they built a buffer into Duel number 2.
Yeah, hopefully, because I'm not even in there yet.
Yeah, that would be very problematic.
I think the session
will get mad.
I think the session is supposed to turn over at 11, so we're fine.
Oh, okay. See, I thought I wasn't sure when they had the session to set up to advance. Otherwise, somebody's in for a rude awakening. Let's see. This is Duel 2, and it says it has an hour to go. So we'll believe that. And that's a good case. So we only have an hour to go. The good news, 3 green-white checkers, and unless it starts raining and iRacing magically added that in the last 10 seconds, I believe we're good to go here, and we're going to finish in plenty of time. Zach Novak is your race leader. Daniel Falkingham is second. Nick Miller third. Ryan Naraki fourth. He's a former winner of the 500. Daniel Botafuco fifth. Blake Reynolds is sixth. Jack May seventh. Sean Butler eighth. Frisch, the 2021 winner, in ninth. Nathan Rabideau, your top 10. And we should get 1 to green here this time by, which means a natural green-white checker will have 2 laps to go when we drop the green flag.
And I mean, again, right there, you saw on that restart closing in, it was, 8, 7 laps to go, somewhere in there, just how aggressive that field around the transfer spot was getting. And it's only going to get worse from here, where you're going to see guys start to make super aggressive moves to try to, just have a shot at advancing here. So that's something to keep an eye on the restart, is just keep your eye back towards row 8, row 9, because that's where it's going to get really dicey.
Any picks to win this race? I know it's tough to pick who wins and who cares, but I think it's a lot harder to judge who's going to be 16th for the cut line, solely because a lot can change there. It's a little bit easier to figure out who may win this deal.
I'm allowed to be a little biased here. I'm going to go with the guy that won last night. I'm going with Ryan.
Unbelievable.
Well, listen, he was in, I think, 19th on that maybe the second to last restart from here.
He was 25th. He was far back.
He was 25th after he decided to come back in and pit on that first after that first long green flag run. So he has made his way through the field. I'm picking Ryan.
Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to look at Sean maybe, but right now I got my eye on the car directly in front of him. I think Blake Reynolds is going to take it home and get it done here.
Keep an eye on these guys blowing up. We saw yesterday Frisch blew up in turn 3, a little bit cooler track conditions, but they're still packed up. Might happen again if these guys get a little too aggressive with the shoves.
I kind of agree with Kevin here. Keep an eye on Naraki, solely because pretty much has to be in the top 16 to move on comfortably. Won't get in on speed. He'll have to rely on owner points. He's 11th. He'll need some dominoes to fall there for that window to open up before he gets dumped down to the tiny text. Green flag. 2 laps to go. It's a natural green-white checker of duel number 1. You have to finish in the top 16 to move on to turn 1.
And that outside lane, again, they didn't get really the restart they wanted. They have a lot better of a shot here, though, than they did last time. You see right now with Falkingham leading that outside, he's gotten a Rocky Reynolds all over him right now, and this outside lane for once is sticking with the inside lane as they're actually going to get stacked up just a little bit with Mace and Frisch down on the inside. But here we come through turn 3 for the penultimate time.
David L. Brown up in the top, third line. Brandon Hawken with him. Robert Dorman with them as well. More cars jumping up to the outside line off turn 4. They will see the white flag. 1 more lap to go in the Barr Visuals FTF 500 duel number 1. Zach Novak leads your transfer spot. Currently,
they're wrecking for the transfer.
Dorman out there wrecking. Around Chris Overland, how about, is involved. They're still crashing. Liam Brotherton gets put into the fence by Robert Dorman. That's outside the cutoff line. Right now, your cutoff is P16, Brandon Hawken, or P17, it's Nick Roten. Here comes the field, down the back straightaway. For the final time. Remember, Frisch is in the top 16, so it belongs to Roten. Ethan Quarter is more than 2 seconds behind him. 3 wide for the lead. Here comes Falkingham on the outside, and Falkingham leads the field. They're 4 wide in the back of this pack. No rocket to the outside. Cozy crashes. Give it to Falkingham at the line. Will Cozy make it in? Yes. And Roten is the 17th car. He will transfer into the show. 18th on back. For the most part, all going to be on the outside looking in. Jonathan Oates may get saved by owner points, but he finishes 29th. He was furious over the radio getting involved in that crash. Several drivers involved there. Liam Brotherton may get saved. He had the fifth fastest time out of this duel.
I'm looking at this replay. Good win to Falkingham, by the way. Great push by Naraki there at the end to keep it clean as well. I want to say that might have been some horrendous netcode. Chris Overland gets to the outside of Plussel, and Plussel just gets sent to the right, and that takes out a ton of guys. Dorman saved it, decided to keep it full throttle. I don't know why he would have done that. That's stupid, honestly. That's
Look
really
at the
stupid.
guys in the back.
Yeah,
Where were they going?
Yeah, they're just full throttling it.
And then, so I just went back to see what Oates was so furious on the radio over, and there is some secondary contact here with those guys that kind of full throttled into this wreck you see in this pack behind him. So you'll see he gets it back straight, then Burbank right here with that contact gets back into Chris Overland, and then that contact right there is what initiates it, and I think he has a right to be mad over the radio right there.
My goodness. And we get to do all that again, guys.
Well, here's the finish.
Yeah.
Calm, cool, and collected up here. Cozy underneath the yellow line, which is legal, by the way. He gets hit by... That's
teammates.
Danson. That was Danson on the bottom.
He gets into Danson. Yeah, he net-coded off Danson.
That was
and Blake Reynolds and Noraki almost got Falkingham there at the line, too. They did everything they could to try and get by that Toyota out in front. Here it is with Cozy. He goes down, netcode, wham.
Thankfully, he crosses the line in one piece ahead of Roten, and the guys trying to get there. I thought for a second Ethan Quarter and Corbin McCauley were going to get to Roten in 3 and 4, but just not close enough to be in the draft.
Finishing results, Daniel Falkingham. Oh, my. Okay. Daniel Falkingham, your winner. Ryan Naraki, 2nd. Blake Reynolds, 3rd. Zach Novak, 4th. Nathan Rabideau, 5th. Garrison Hogan, 6th. Nick Miller is 7th. Daniel Botafuco is 8th. David L. Brown is 9th. Brandon Hawken is 10th. Those top 10 all locked in. We will see them next week.
And then looking at Derek Justice, Jack May, Sean Butler, Michael P. Frisch, Matt Danson, Michael Cozy Jr., and Nick Roten. Those are everybody that transfer in to the big show next week. Ethan Quarter, your first car out. Corbin McCauley and Fred Anderson round out your top 20.
Corey Cook, 21st. A lot of these guys going to have to pray for a way in. They're going to most likely have to be in the Tiny Techs. Cootie, 22nd. Robert Dorman, 23rd. Brody Kostecki, 24th. Scott Ricard, 25th. Sebastian Marin, we all thought he was going to be someone to look at for qualifying, does not make his way in through the duels. He will finish 26th. Chris Overland, 27th, 28th. Wyatt Tinsley, he will rely on a spot with owner's points. Jonathan Oates looks like he will have to rely on that as well. We'll have to look at the points after tonight to see where he stands. Liam Brotherton, he will be disappointed in that. Started 5th. He will finish in the 30th spot.
Plessel back here, 31st. Tyler Lane in 32nd. Garrett Sidner, 33rd. All of these guys back here, with the exception of maybe Conrath, might have a shot. The only trouble for Conrath is folks in front of him on speed. Brotherton out. Overland out. Kelly out. Conrath, he's number 4. He's going to need the drivers that were fast in qualifying that are in Duel 2 to make it in order for him to have a shot. Otherwise, because that motor blew, he is going to be on the outside looking in. We'll take a break. Duel number 2 coming your way next. We'll also talk with our top 3, or at least as many as we can, from Duel number 1. Stay with us here on FTF.
That's all I want. That's all I want. another moment like this. You'll just have to learn from my mistakes. You don't know the half of it. I wish I could slow down these thoughts in my head. Have I been misread? Will the world pass by if I can't hold on? What should I do when I don't feel strong? I just wanna be here for now. What if
We're back here on FTF. We'll talk with our race winner in Daniel Falkingham. And man, oh man, Daniel Falkingham coming away with the win out of the first duel. You had a hungry pack of drivers behind you there coming to the checkered flag. Take us through that last lap.
They were all flying right there behind me. Just trusting that Naraki would stay with me when I would try to side draft Dan and try to slide out of the bottom lane. Because one of those restarts, I tried to move up to the outside lane, and it didn't really work out for me too well. So I had to get aggressive on that side draft, try to stall that bottom lane, and thankfully it all worked out. And Naraki, heck of a push there coming to the end. We were getting so fast on Novak there coming to the line, or coming to 3 and 4. I thought we were going to wreck, but thankfully we all kept it straight and all that. So appreciate Naraki there for that heck of a push down the back straightaway and into 3. He was trying to stay cool and push at the right time, and we nailed it perfectly. So props to him. Glad to get a early victory here in FTSB weeks, and maybe we can go repeat it next Saturday.
What'd you learn for next Saturday here from the race tonight?
I learned quite a bit actually. Just learning how the setup's going to drive, how we're going to take the push and stuff. It's really easy to overheat, is what I've noticed. One of the big things. So that's going to be definitely something to keep an eye out for next week. But definitely learned quite a bit, and got quite a few teammates to learn off of too. So definitely looking forward to the race next Saturday. It's getting me even more excited to partake in my first FTF 500.
All right, Daniel, best of luck, and we'll see you a week from tonight.
All right, thanks, fellas.
That's Daniel Falkingham, your Duel 1 winner here from Daytona. Let's talk with second place, Ryan Naraki, with Kevin.
Hey, buddy. Congratulations on finishing second there. Good job getting through the pack. Talk to us about, having to navigate the pack after that green flag stop didn't really work in your favor, and going back in the pits and getting back in there and kind of resetting.
Yeah, it's tires matter. That's kind of something that nobody's talking about, or not a lot. But I pitted it there and restarted basically last on that last restart because I wanted tires, and from there it felt great. I could move around, do what I needed to do, and I really liked this package. I really, really liked that you overheat so fast. It makes it to where everybody's not tandemed around the entire track, and you have to kind of be smart with when you do it and how you do it. And I told Falkingham, I was just trying to keep it cool. I knew when I would need that temperature, and I did it connect on the backstretch, and we were flying. I mean, I was timed it perfect, and feel really good about finishing second. I said right after the race, I think I could have won that thing, but I would have needed to aggressively side draft, and if I got called for a wreck, I would be missing the show. So I settled for second, and I'm really happy with it.
So you definitely played the clean and safe strategy. Did you learn anything in that 60-lap show for 200 laps next week?
Yeah, just it seems kind of overwhelming when everybody's riding, like pace laps 2x2x2. But just stick to the plan. That's what I did today. I had a plan coming into this race and stuck with it. And kind of like I said yesterday, I'm having a great speed week so far, and made some more friends today. I had people, top end drivers PMing me asking to work together next week already. So it's good to have friends out there. I'm really looking forward to next week, and hopefully we can get another FTF 500.
Look forward to you starting 5th next week, and the 500 will be close buddies the whole race. You know that. Good job tonight. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Kevin. Well, we're going to thank you as well. Let you get on your merry way here, so that way you can go run around for 60 laps. You're already locked into the show, so we'll bid you farewell and good luck.
I'm going to try not to wreck everyone like I did on lap 2 last year. So see y'all later.
All right, we'll see you on lap 3 then. That's Kevin McAdams. Let's talk with third place Blake Reynolds here with Caleb.
Blake, you're a familiar face here in FTF, and now you're in the show. How much of a relief is it here to not have to worry about the alphabet soup round? And what did you learn about racing with this group?
That feels pretty good to be locked in, and I learned quite a bit tonight. I kind of just bided my time. You didn't really see me up front or even in the middle of the pack. I was kind of toward the back, so I knew there was people that were having to race a lot harder to actually make the show than I did. I had the third and owners points locked, so I was just kind of biding my time. I stayed out with those guys there rather than do the early pitter. I knew the early pit was going to be faster, but again, biding my time. So luckily that caution came out, and my car just, to be honest, it just magically appeared in third place. I'm really not sure how I got there, but it was just a good night overall. I learned how the car overheats and all that jazz. So I'm looking forward to next weekend.
Yeah, and you had 4 wins last year, finished 15th in the Barr Visuals FTF 500. What are you focusing on, working on in this next week to hopefully end up in victory lane?
I'll probably just, if there's any practice, I'll hop in there. I'm going to watch the second duel to see how certain people race. A lot of personality you can have in this type of racing. I had a lot of fun. So it's a really good combo. I love the setup we've got here. I love the next gen right now. The new damage model's all good. I want to have one of those turbo boosts. I haven't had one of those yet, so looking forward to that.
Well, absolutely. That's Blake Reynolds, finishes P3 in duel number 1 here, and looks forward now to the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Jacob?
Thank you, Caleb, and thanks to Blake as well. We'll send him on his merry way. So, drivers that are locked in, drivers that are not. Obviously, your top 17 from the race we just finished, they are all locked in. Other drivers that are locked in. After race 1 is done, Liam Brotherton, who was in Duel 1, he missed the show, but he is locked in on time. He will race next week. Jordan Worth ran the same lap time. He is locked in on time. He's in the second duel, so no matter where he finishes, we will see him next week. He joins Cosman and Doucette. Moving on. Points. Jonathan Oates, Wyatt Tinsley. 8th and 9th respectively in owners' points. They are locked in. We will see them next week. As for the other 3 spots for owner points, those are yet to be determined, and the remaining fastest from qualifying, that's still fluid as well, because if Cosman and Ryan and Jordan, if all 3 of them race their way in, that could open up the window for Chris Overland, Aaron Smith, Alex Kolnick, and so on. Sean Butler joins the program now, and you just finished running 60 laps here. You finished 13th. You were already locked in anyway based off of your qualifying time. What'd you learn out there? What'd you see?
It was fun. The long run was kind of hectic because we didn't know if they were going to wreck or not, and then we got lucky with the caution we needed, but it was fun, man. Lanes worked great. You don't really have to know how to push. Cars overheat quickly, so I hope they kind of mess with the gears a little bit to maybe kind of counteract that. But overall, it was a fun time. Gets a little slick as the tires wear out, get a little heat in them. So it's an interesting little formula we got here.
Any advice for the drivers here in race number 2 as we're going to get going here shortly?
Just be wary of where the runs are coming from. Don't block too aggressively, and just make sure to be aware of what's going on around you, and just hope, really, with these, because you got to be in the right spot at the right time, and got to make some stuff happen for you. We had to do that in the first race to kind of plow up through the middle with me, Brandon Hawken, and Cozy to get where we needed to be, but just pick your spots and stay away from the wrecks, and you'll be all right.
Might I add, no yellow line rule?
Yep.
Saying. We didn't really see it come into play in that first race. We'll see if it comes into play here in race number 2. So, we're going to wait 2 minutes. I don't know why, but we're going to wait 2 minutes. Do we have time for a break, Zach? Good answer. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and then we'll actually get this race underway. We're back here from Daytona. Really last commercial break for a little while there, but we're getting set to go here for duel number 2 from the high banks at Daytona International Speedway to set the field for the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Do we have the diagram that shows how people get in, Zach? Can we show that to the viewers here? Excellent, there it is. Okay, so all those colors mean a lot of things. So the light blue, that's your top 2 in qualifying. That's Frisch and McAdams. They are locked in. The red at the bottom of your screen, those are your top 16 from Duel 1. So those drivers, David L. Brown, Rabideau, Sean Butler, no particular order here. Derek Justice, Zach Novak, Michael Cozy Jr., Jack Mace, Daniel Botafuco, Garrison Hogan, Blake Reynolds, Brandon Hawken, Nick Roten, Ryan Naraki, Nick Miller, Matt Danson. Then the 2 of the green drivers, those are, or at least one of them is going to be Brotherton. Your purple drivers at the bottom of your screen, 2 of those will be Jonathan Oates and Wyatt Tinsley. The blue drivers here, those are going to be the drivers that we set from Duel 2. So your top 16 in Duel 2, with the exception of Kevin McAdams. If he's in the top 16, we advance to the top 17. 2 more drivers will advance, rather 3 more drivers will be set based off of qualifying time. We'll know those 3 by the end of this duel, as well as the remaining 3 owner drivers. 1 sponsor provisional, and then the Tiny Tex Challenger. That's that pink car, that pink box. What that means, the winner of the Tiny Tex 500, which is made up of the dual drivers that did not advance, and then the top 10 finishers from the C main, the first driver in the running order to give up their winnings advance to the FTF 500. So if the winner gives up their winnings, they would race in the Barr Visuals FTF 500 the following night. Now, who makes up the C main? That's drivers from qualifying partially, as well as your top 10 from the D main. And the D main is made up from the drivers all way in the back as far as qualifying is concerned. Plus, if you miss qualifying and you just want to try and make your way up through the ladder, you can run in the D main. Qualifying looked like this. Shake things up for duel number 2. Kevin McAdams on the front row. Cosdown Eshu, Ryan Doucette, Jordan Worth, Aaron Smith, Alex Collins, Logan Hilton, Jonathan Goke, Seth Knoll, and Vincent Cortez are your top 10. The rest of your group will scroll by on your screen. And final thoughts here, gentlemen, before we get the green flag.
Yeah, going to try to see if some of those tropes from race 1 carry over here. This restart's going to give us a lot of information to keep our eyes on. Either way, it's going to get fun. Got to get settled in here. And 60 more laps at Daytona. I got to do this all over again.
I can echo that. So it's gonna. There's a lot of big names in here, Jacob, and it's like I said, whoever's going to be in the best spot at the right time is going to benefit in this thing. So, going to be fun, just like the first one, hopefully.
Somebody's not here.
We are missing a couple, yes.
I count 59, so we're missing 1.
39.
Nonetheless, here we go, getting ready for the green flag. We are underway from Daytona. Race number 2, by the way, the one we're missing, Donovan Strauss in the 51 is not here. Kevin out in front through turns 1 and 2. At outside line, what in the world does Cosman have on his race car? He leads the top. And not for long, as here comes Logan Helton to the top side.
Yeah, lots of movement already. You're starting to see Nate Stewart's hung out to dry on the outside. Derek Edgerton as well was in a precarious situation there for just a little bit, but he's able to catch the back end of this group. Josh Stoltz, Corey Carpenter, Jay Cook. There's a little bit of a buffer from this top, maybe 20 guys on back. They got to already make up some ground here as we come to complete lap 1.
Logan Helton leads the first lap. Logan Helton has had a hot winter here. Between Legend of the Future, strong there toward the end of the season, was big in the all-in 650 that Blake McCandless put on here late in the season. That was in early January, earlier this month. And here he is now, trying to get himself in to the Barr Visual FTF 500. He started in 7th, and he's already to the lead. He could maybe fall back on time. It's a little bit sketchier to fall back on points. I'm sure he would just want to race his way in, Sean.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he would love to just lock himself in instead of having it done for him. So Logan is very capable of doing it, though. As you mentioned, he's been very, very good in these big events the last couple of months, and the momentum seems to be carrying over so far as he is doing very well, leading that top side. Cosman in that, it looks like a new car model that comes out, and they just slap a big old static-looking thing on it to make sure people don't get a good look. I don't know, but right now everyone's minding their P's and Q's so far. Both lanes, no one's really shoving aggressively, so everyone's being patient so far and giving a lot of space.
The drivers that have their names in green on the left-hand side of your screen, those are the drivers that are already locked in no matter where they finish, whether it's 1st or 39th. They are in the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Everybody in white is going to have to be in the top 16 to advance. Kevin, your leader to turn 1.
And I mean, watching right now, we're still seeing it's very similar to duel number 1 here, where everybody's just trying to get acclimated with each other and line up around and get to a spot where they're comfortable just riding. And it took us a few laps to do that, as you see here down on the inside. That's Matthew Zwack is going to pull off onto the apron as well. So, yeah, just a lot of guys that just are trying to find their spot, find their place right now as he's going to come back up. That's right in front of Scotty Smith.
They're all good through the back of the field, and this looks like a calmer version of race number 1, where you have cars lagging behind in the background, but at least up at the front. They really haven't gone 3 wide. It's just been 2 by 2, pretty much through the top 20 or so, and it's been Helton leading the outside, and Kevin McAdams leading the inside. On board there with Jonathan Goke.
He's still in his Vikings jersey. Is that a different one from yesterday?
I don't know. Maybe it's his good luck jersey? I'm not sure.
I don't know. He's got a wall of diecast right there. That's a pretty cool setup he's got. And got a front row seat right out in front of him there as he's midway through the pack down the back straightaway. But he's got a pretty good spot right here. He's got Alex Kolonix right in front of him. And that's John Poole III, who corrected his number finally in that low side in the 56. As Kevin McAdams up front clears Logan Helton to the top side, so Kevin moved him to the lead. Now he's going to try to control the lanes as Helton side drafts back up towards the front, gets that 26 to slow down a bit, and Helton's going to poke his nose back to the lead.
5 laps complete, still side by side through the first 10, 15 rows. And it really doesn't matter where you're at early on in this race. It really only matters at the very end. You can be toward the front early, but that doesn't guarantee here, Caleb, that you're going to be at the front when it matters, when the checkered flag's in the air.
Yeah, and I mean, we're at this point here in duel number 2 where there's just a lot of things changing at the moment right now. My biggest, the biggest thing I'm looking at here is the last glimpses of the sun going down beneath the horizon at this point. And these changing track conditions, Sean, you just went through 60 laps in duel 1. Did you notice any differences in how the car was handling as the track temp was dropping?
Well, not really, because the track, we have to lift constantly if you're in a pack like this, so we're just trying to stay off each other. But one thing I did notice were the tires. We see the track temp and the facts right there. Track temp is not as hot as it was yesterday for the Brook Clash for sure. About 30, 40 degrees less. More like 70, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, track temp was 156 at one point.
But, Goke is in the wall back there.
Oh, and that's Malik Ray that has to check up.
Oh, guess the items in the wall.
And Malik Ray asking the tough questions. How did you do that? But they keep it straight. Well, I had to PG it a little bit. Yep. But the outside line fizzled out here a little bit. Sean, anyway.
But as I was saying before that happened, as the run went on, the tires got a lot slicker, and the more you moved around, the hotter they got. And if you're out front, especially like if you're Logan Helton and Kevin McAdams, you have to be kind of weary if you're leading your lane about kind of having the car slide out from under you. So that's something they're going to pay attention to, is look at Jordan Worth and the Davey Davis, number 97. He's not going to push Logan Helton. He's looking for the lead. And Kevin, bottom split teaming up. He's going to go to the top and move Kevin and Jordan to 1 and 2.
fastest lawnmower I've ever seen. Jordan Worth leads a lap.
I got nothing for him.
Well, he led a lap. I'm sure the bottom split crowd is going wild.
I am on the edge of my seat, Jacob. I'm a firm part of that. As there's John Poole III in his fixed car. Look at the focus on his face right there. He is in it.
Yeah, super focused out of John Poole right now. And, you know, looking back up at the top here, it's just, again, a lot of give and take right now with how these lanes are moving. You saw Logan Helton up at the front just then, made a big move to clear himself on Jordan Worth and Kevin McAdams. And now, all of a sudden, when this outside lane had all the energy and the momentum like you see right now, this bottom lane in an instant can get it all back.
The bottom side really fast. Even though the outside line is the preferred one here at Daytona, you can still roll the bottom side pretty well as long as you have enough help. I think that's the big thing right now. We kind of saw it in Duel 1 where drivers were letting the outside get too much of an advantage. This time around, even though the outside can pull ahead, the bottom side stays strong in numbers, and they're able to reel that top group back in by the time they get back around the racetrack, Sean.
And it's all about those temperatures, as we were talking about. You know, you can push in these things very well, but these things get very hot very quickly. We mentioned the gear ratio in this car makes it rev at a higher RPM than normal. So you're going to see a lot of guys get a big shot out to the front as we see more Dyson going on up here. McAdams goes to the back bumper of Helton, and Cosman follows. But you got to be careful. You can't push a guy for too long or you run the risk of blowing up. We saw Michael Frisch do that in the Bruck Clash yesterday. So same setup, same thing. So these guys really got to pay attention to those temps.
Saw Conrath do that earlier tonight in Duel number 1, even though that was after pit stops and in a smaller pack. It still happened, even though that he was able to get air on the nose of his car. Zach Novak pulled up to give him some clean air. It wasn't enough. Just 2 seconds later, kaboom, there goes the engine.
And I mean, looking right now, if you're one of these guys that is back further in the pack, I feel like temps are just something that you got to constantly keep in the back of your mind, even if it's not at the forefront. You know, looking at these guys back here like Jake Poulin, Matt Spalding, Seth Noel as well, you know, it's going to get harder to pull out of line and you know, get some clean, fresh air on the front of that car, you know, if you're one of these guys further in the back. So this, again, got to keep your eye on it.
One car has already lost the draft. That's Aaron Smith. He started from the pit lane, so he is plummeting through, and he's going to get lapped here in just a little bit. Andy Margot has also lost the draft. That one more recent. He's only 14 seconds behind the leader, Smith, on the same straightaway as the race leaders. So he's facing some trouble right now, maybe hoping for an early caution, but that has not come to fruition at this point. Still side by side at the front. Helton and McAdams to turn 1.
And we'll see how these lap cars, what courtesy they give the leaders. We saw in the first duel that they were a little hectic at some point. Some chose the bottom, some chose the top, and they made the leaders had to work their way around them. So we'll see if they're just as courteous. I hope they're more courteous in this one. But right now, the front of the pack, I'm very surprised. It's just been Kevin try to side draft Logan Helton. He's going to get stuck in the middle 3 wide. Cosman's, of course, going to go with him. And this is the most action we've seen up at the front of the field. Jordan decides to stay with Logan, so we're 3 by 3.
And I don't think they meant to do that, but that's the way it worked. And Dylan Basin about turned across the nose of somebody and got himself wrecked. That was Vincent Cortez. He was just trying to get back in line. Bye-bye FTF Driver Club in Kevin and in Cosman. The field makes their way off turn 2. Ryan Doucette, the Rock 508 winner, up on the high side. You got Seth Noel down on the bottom. First time we've mentioned his name so far tonight.
And I'm looking through at a lot of these guys right now, and it seems the general consensus, if you're not up here like firmly in the top 16, you know, sitting around 12th, 13th, a lot of drivers here have opted to kind of just sit behind in their own groups and their own packs of draft. I'm looking at guys like Malik Ray, Brian Mercurio's back here, Brandon Hayes-Cattell, Frank DeAngelis, Matthews Wack, we saw drop to the apron, Kevin King, your defending champion, Brett Pancari as well. So a lot of these guys just trying to stay out of trouble at this point in the race. Only lap 15 and safely in their own comfort sit in these little bubbles, trailing this huge pack.
15 laps will be complete when they get to the start-finish line here this time by. Here's Doucette to the bottom. Had a pair of Altus Esports cars in race number 1, but that doesn't stop him from doing it all by himself here, trying to join his teammates in Danson and Cozy in the Barr Visuals FTF 500.
And Cozy barely squeaked in by the skin of his teeth there in the first one, so we'll see if Doucette can follow suit, and if he does, 3 Altus cars are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the big show. We've seen them team up before as recently as the Pro Series. We saw they had about like 10 of them or so in one of the Talladega races team up and just single-handedly win the race. So those guys know what they're doing, and they're very good at working as a team. So we'll see if Doucette gets in there. They'll definitely find each other. As single file out for now, the front 4, Kevin McAdams trying to get by Joseph Causey there in that 78, and Logan Helton's going to close in on him and not try to help him, so Kevin's going to try to sneak into the bottom lane, but right now it's looking pretty tame up at the front.
Kevin back to the outside, not a lot of help up there. Kolnick's looking 3 wide. Going to get the help from Spalding. Jordan Worth gets split through the middle.
And
that outside line.
Man.
Sorry, Caleb. That outside line has all but deteriorated here. Everybody to the bottom of the racetrack.
All good there. Just looking right now at Kevin McAdams. So I think at this point right now is just trying to experiment a little bit. You heard him in the booth for Duel 1 kind of explaining how the new aerodynamics were working in terms of side draft, where it almost felt like the car that was pulling in on you was sucking you in, and you could see him there trying to side draft by himself with no help from Logan Helton. Obviously now has that 63 machine all over the back bumper, and I think more so than trying to get to the front, he's just trying to figure out situationally, because he is locked in at this point, just kind of what to expect out of the side draft here for next Saturday.
Dylan Basin has been given an internet warning for blinking, hoping to get that back under control, and Justin Melillo also apologizes for it. So I'm not sure if that was a known issue there for Basin that got itself worked out or what, but Ryan Doucette, your leader, Kevin McAdams, trying to get that high side rolling. He's stuck in P6 right now, side by side with, I believe that's Derek Edgerton there, and it is.
I think this might be the temperature issue I was talking about. So right behind Kevin, Logan Helton's been tucked underneath him for a couple of laps now, and that's all it takes. We saw that big shove from Helton earlier to get Kevin about to like 4th or 5th, and when that car starts blinking, if you see it gets around 280, 290, you're in really big trouble of blowing that engine up. So I think that's what's happening to Logan. So if Kevin wants to get up there, he might have to find someone else to push him. So we'll see how they work through this. But right now, Doucette and Knoll, really the top 2, are very hard to beat right now. Knoll's going to keep that car clean and keep that engine cool, and when they get a challenge, he'll be able to suck right back up to the rear bumper of Doucette and try to mount that resistance to the charge as McAdams tries to make another effort.
Kwame Scott trying to make a third line work up there. Hopped into the league pretty much at the 11th hour earlier this afternoon. Was able to set a time and get himself into the Barr Visual FTF 500 duels here at Daytona. Take a look at the mid-pack here. They are 3 wide, couple rows deep, and almost contact. Look out!
Yeah, and this is where I had my eye on right here. Sorry, Jacob, but Malik Ray was trying to make that middle line work with Michael, like Michael Cozy Jr. did last race, and then Michael Guest right here behind him. You saw Parker White dropped in front of him, and now all of a sudden you have Logan Helton and Kevin McAdams really leading that charge. They're starting to get dicey here. Jake Cook makes a little bit of contact with the outside wall towards the tail end of this pack, but starting to get dicey for sure.
You can see that middle line now fading away just a little bit as Helton and McAdams move up to the outside. But we know Malik Ray is not afraid to be very aggressive at these super speedway tracks. Sean, as the outside wiggles a little bit. Mercurio got a little sideways. Dylan Basin over the radio, but they keep it going. Actually, that wasn't Mercurio. Austin Farr, the 47, 41. They look awfully close, kind of.
And keep an eye on this middle groove, as you were saying. Kevin McAdams, Parker White, Malik Ray, Michael Guest, Nate Stewart joins him in the middle there. A bunch of dead zone right there, except for Parker. But these guys are all extremely good plate racers. There you see Nate Stewart, him and his, I guess, standard formatted camera there. We got to get him an HD one. But there's
2006.
Nate. We're right here in our standard 480p webcam here for Nate. But look at the focus on Nate. He's got his eyes in front and behind, as Kevin is all over the rear bumper, and Nate's going to experience that looseness I was talking about in front. These tires are going to get enough heat in them, and if Nate's not careful, he might get a little loose with Kevin pushing him too hard. But right now, they're all making it work.
Well, and Stewart just about had a moment a lap ago, almost made contact with Derek Edgerton. They were able to keep it pointed in the right direction, but Stewart came over the radio. He was not too happy that those two almost collided. And now it's Nate Stewart leading the top side. Kevin McAdams to push. Lap car ahead on the apron. Andy Margot in the Jimmy Johnson car. He's going to bring it to the pit lane.
Yeah, and for a split second there, they're starting to get formed back up as you see Andy Margot come down the pit lane. Derek Edgerton there, I think it was a little bit of both, with Edgerton maybe coming up just a little bit, but Nate Stewart really came down into his lane. Not sure if he was trying to experiment the side draft or what, but it really spread that main pack apart to where now you're starting to see this outside lane have, a few new faces in it, with Kwame Scott up here now. Parker White, who was leading that middle line, has fallen into line here on the outside. But look at Malik Ray here on the outside. Kwame Scott throwing a big block on him, and Malik Ray's going to tag the wall just a little bit. That's going to really spread everybody out again.
He'll shake it off. We'll see him back up there shortly.
Yeah.
That's the way he does it here on the plate tracks. He does not give up. He just keeps on chugging up there on the outside. And we'll probably see him at the front before this thing is said and done. But we've made it 23 laps, all under the green flag. Ryan Doucette, your leader. Seth Knoll in second. Nate Stewart trying to revive the outside line. And with Kevin McAdams' help, now here comes Knoll to the outside. And the Nexus driver wants a shot at the front.
And what a push by Nate Stewart. That high line passing the low line like they are not even moving. And we're seeing, look at all these drivers getting really tight going into the corners. We see them all almost hit the wall right there. And that's just what these tire heats and tire temperatures can do to these cars, plus the aero. You can get loose, you can get tight, and these things, they look like they're going just pretty straight. Really easy, but these are not easy to drive by any means, especially at this speed and this close together. So these guys doing a great job of holding everything together as McAdams tries to go low in front of Nolan. He's going to get a shove and move the 26 back to the front.
That was bold, and I tell you what, Noel almost got turned in turn 3 there by Nate Stewart. Low contact, kicks him sideways. Everybody keeps it together at the front of the field. And Helton's going to push Stewart back to the front, while McAdams gets a push from a different Nexus car than the 63. It's the 1. Here comes Helton to the bottom. It'll retake the lead. Helton going to try and side draft him.
Yeah, still side by side up here at the front. Was just another big move almost in the back with Malik Ray and Michael Guest. They kind of pulled a crossover move on Dylan Basin when he went up to block. Both of them in a coordinated effort went down to the inside immediately and got around him. So it was actually a pretty sick pass here on the backstretch, and we'll see if they try it again, peeking on the outside. But for right now, this momentum is keeping these guys side by side. But as soon as I say that, here goes Nate Stewart and Parker White tandeming for the lead.
Dylan Basin had to drop out of there, and Malik Ray had to get a push, but here comes White to the inside. Aaron Smith gets lapped again. He was looking forward to try and make a shot here at the Barr Visuals FTF 500 through the duels, but he's having a rough go of it here. One car abandoned in the middle. That is far, and he's going to go pretty far through the field. As right now, Parker White leading on the inside, Nate Stewart on the outside to turn 1. You like that one, Sean?
The daily Jacob Hitz dad joke in every broadcast.
Yes, sir.
You love to see it.
Yes, sir.
But I was very surprised that high line, they were moving until Nate Stewart and Kwame Scott cut him off. Malik Ray and Michael Guest were making such good ground up there as Nate Stewart just gave Kevin McAdams a shot going down the back straightaway. So Kevin has no choice but to take the run. 3 cars that are very capable up on the top side, McAdams, Stewart, and Knoll right there. So they're going to easily pass Parker White for the lead. And it's been pretty much the same cast of characters up at the front of the field here. So you got McAdams, Helton is there, Stewart, and there, Guest is trying to make it 3 wide on Kwame Scott there. Malik's going to go with them, but he's not quite there as Scott will pull right down in front of him.
Brandon Cattell is asking Malik when we're pitting, but he's not doing it over drivers. His Guest in the wall. We're good.
Man.
But I was going to ask here, guys, we're getting dangerously close now to halfway, just 3 laps away from it. We're going to start getting in the window here if we stay under green with green flag pit stops. And I know we saw it in that first race as well. But, of course, we had an early caution, which kind of pushed everything back a little bit. But they can pit here and make it to the end.
And, I mean, that's what we were starting to see in duel number 1, as we had that super early group as opposed to everybody else that decided to stay out. And I guess right now, the big question is who's going to take that initiative. Getting down to pit road is Seth Knoll with a huge block right there. And I believe that was Parker White up at the front. And that's going to push him all the way to the lead. But alas, who's going to really take the initiative here to come onto pit road early? And who's going to hope for a caution here if we see similar pit patterns as duel number 1?
Well, maybe they realized what to do and what not to do as far as pitting under green. Heard some chaos over the radio, but everybody's good. Everybody's pointed in the right direction.
I was just looking back through the pack, and I was trying to see where that noise came from, so to speak. But everyone, as you said, Jake, still holding it straight. But it's going to be tricky to see this. We see a lot of guys, the leaders have moved down to the bottom side, so who knows, maybe they're going to think about coming in here. It's so tough, especially when you don't have your teammates by you, and especially with a bunch of guys that are on different teams, such as this race. You know, it's tough because you have to have people pitting with you. And we saw there was one instance in the first race where some guys were saying, I'm pitting, and one guy went down to pit road and nobody else came, and they kind of faked him out, and he was kind of SOL at that point. So you really have to be careful at dictating when you're going to pit. But 2 guys that are definitely teaming up, Michael Guest again and Malik Ray, they're trying their best to make that middle lane work as they just storm past Kwame Scott, and they are not done. They're looking to the outside again on Stewart, and McAdams goes up to try to block.
Malik backs off a little bit, trying to get a little air to the front of that car, but he tucks right up behind the 23 now, and Nate Stewart stuck in the sucker hole. McAdams to the outside to protect, and he's going to pick up the run here that those 2 had. Meanwhile, it's all Seth Knoll out in front. Your top 5, make it top 6. Single file on the bottom of the racetrack.
And, I mean, might be a signal at that point. Maybe they're considering coming down here within the next few laps. Kevin McAdams right now, Michael Guest on the outside. This is really a strong outside group. Matt Spalding had a great run as well. Nate Stewart has to get back up there. Cosmin Ionescu. I mean, right now, a lot of strong guys up here at the front. As you said, Jacob, just a question of when do they think about coming down at this point.
Here comes Guest up the middle, 3 wide. Bye-bye, Kevin.
Kevin has 0 help up there at the top lane, so Guest and Malik, until now, he's going to get picked up by somebody, and of course, it's his teammate.
That's his teammate.
Cosmin Ionescu is going to be right there to catch him. But it was only, here we go, pit stops, everybody. Well, not everybody. 4, 5, 6 cars.
Oh, there's no way. There is no way.
Oh.
Vincent Cortez, black flag. Doucette's in the wall. Cortez, the only one that gets a black flag for speeding. But Doucette's going to lose a ton of time. Scotty Smith is as well. He hit the inside wall. We stay green, but some chaos as far as pitting under green. Go figure. And some of these guys are really going to be hurt by it, like the 077 of Ryan Doucette. Heard a couple more saying they're coming in this time by, including Jordan Worth. He's at the back of the field, leaders in 3.
You'll see right here.
Oh, this is going to be crazy right here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's all
More
over
cars.
as soon as it touches the grass.
4 wide. 5 wide.
How in the world?
Oh, man, there goes Spalding. He saved it. 1 car is way wide of pit road. I believe
they're wrecking behind him. Gokin, Cattell just wrecked each other on pit lane. And That's big for these guys. Cattell misses his box completely, has to back into it. And that
Robertson
was almost...
Robertson missed the entry to pit road. He goes wide. The contact back there as well. You're right.
Evan King missed his box. Malik Ray missed his box.
Kevin had one of the first boxes.
This has been the sloppiest set of pit stops I think we've ever seen here in FTF. And let's see if this front group now can redeem everybody. As here they all come. They can't screw this up, can they? There's 6 of them.
Oh my, Nate Stewart is flying.
Oh boy.
Made it. They all made it.
What is... Oh, there.
Malik Ray is passing Parker White on the access road here, coming off turn 2. They're almost blocking into each other. Seth Noel and Kwame Scott are up to speed. One car tried to take a swipe at him as they pulled by, and now they get in line here with Parker White, Malik Ray, and Joseph Causey. This is 12th on back right here. 2 cars are in front of them, off of pit stops. Basin and Guest, everybody else on the pit lane. Plus DeAngelis and Cabrera, who stayed out.
And I mean, having clean green flag pit stops is so paramount here. And, you know, just the smallest little error, nonetheless, like spinning on pit road and making contact with everybody else. I mean, you could lose the draft entirely of the lead pack. So for everybody to have that, it's kind of a big break for everybody involved there. But I mean, even so, you don't want to be doing that.
Malik Ray is over the radio coaching the pack that's with him on where to go. Middle, go to the inside, go to the outside. This is what Malik Ray does best at the plate tracks. When people get behind him and he says, go here, they better follow.
The lead Nate Stewart got off of pit road. He's going to cycle out to the lead here, but he's got, it looks like a 2-second lead, 2.5-second lead over Michael Guest. So Nate...
Well, it's closed.
It has.
It's down under a second. It was 2.5 seconds, but not anymore.
He is SOL right now, but I was just surprised that there was no within a country mile of Nate coming off of pit road. So he must have had a really good entry and exit sequence while everyone else didn't.
His total pit lane time of 28.7. Michael Guest was a 29.6. They pitted the same lap. Or I think the same lap, close to it. DeAngelis and Cabrera, sorry Caleb, are still out on the racetrack. Cabrera is pitting this time. He's your leader. What in the world is DeAngelis' car?
It's Glenn Quagmire.
Yeah. And he's pitting.
I'd get that thing off the racetrack too.
That is not what he ran in qualifying.
That is a cautious pit entry by both, and he missed his pit.
Oh,
okay.
Man. All right, well, here's the onboard. This is Dylan Basin. He is currently 4th on the racetrack, about to be 2nd.
And I mean, Nate Stewart right there, I was going to talk about, he caught a big break being able to catch the tail end of this draft. Malik Ray let him in as well. So now, not going to be so courteous here out of Malik Ray as he's going to try to get up here for the lead, or what will cycle out to be the lead. There you go. Michael Guest now in P number 1.
Spencer Ray is having a time wherever he is on the racetrack right now.
He is. Something is happening to him constantly right now.
Yeah.
How about that?
Malik Ray to the lead.
The 78 right there, Joseph Causey. When he pit, I was kind of shocked by that because he sent it in harder than anybody else did on the pit road, and he somehow didn't get a black flag and got that thing slowed down. And now he's reaping the benefits of that. He is your new leader right now, so good run by Joseph in that 78.
The rookie out of Hyperforce Esports, North Miami Beach, Florida. Doesn't have any points to fall back on, and it was in the top 20 in this duel as far as qualifying time, but really in a position where he has to race his way in. And here he is now leading at the front of the field. Malik Ray and Parker White, 2 Coke Series drivers, side by side behind him.
And I mean, looking right now, starting to see similar formation to what we saw pre-pit stops with everybody running side by side right now. You hear Brian Mercurio over the driver chat right now is trying to pull a Malik Ray, trying to coach this line that he's with. This is back around the transfer spot, with Matt Spalding, Austin Farr, Logan Helton, Brian Mercurio, who we mentioned, Alex Kolonix, Corey Carpenter, Jake Cook, Jake Poulin. All of these guys are right around where you're going to want to be here in 21 laps.
That second pack is gaining about a half a second a lap. Malik Ray is like, hey, we need to get single file here, guys. We're losing time to the guys behind us. You're going to make this more of a show. And keep in mind, this top pack is only your top 11. So the cutoff is in that second pack as we're coming to 20 laps to go. If that second pack comes in, that opens up the window. There you see them single file. If they can catch up, that opens up the window here. That would be 21 cars in the lead pack instead of just 11. That's the ball game as far as the transfer spot.
I mean, Malik was the one who jumped at a line initially when these guys were all catching each other up here. So, I mean, if anyone knows what the result of that would be, it'd be him. So maybe they can get lined up if they want, but I doubt they're going to stay in line for very long. We're at 20 laps to go here in heat number 2, duel number 2, I should say. But yeah, that second pack is coming right now. So they are really lined up, and they have a great set of pushers back there. And there's Logan Helton in that 63 car, Brian Mercurio right there. And they got 2 more ahead, Matt Spalding and a couple more behind them, and Austin Farr right there in the 47. So no slouches in this group, and they are definitely going to catch this front pack here before it's too late.
It's down to about a second because they have a bridge now. John Poole lost the draft. No, okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing, but yeah, okay. About a second back.
Thank you.
From the lead. I was looking at gap, not interval. Whoops. But they are on their way, and they're going to get there here in the next couple laps. You're right, Sean.
I mean, looking a little further in the back as well, outside of the second pack, it's about, 13th to 21st, I'd say, a pack of about 7 cars who, again, like you said, are rapidly gaining on this first pack. But looking back, there are a lot of guys that are sitting outside of this second pack that really need a caution or something to be back in this. I mean, I'm looking at guys like Jordan Wirtz locked in, but Matthew Zwack, Chris Wetz, Brandon Cattell, Brett Pancari, David Cabrera, Derek Edgerton, who we saw with speed earlier, Goke as well. A lot of these guys are, as Sean would say, SOL if they don't have a caution here in terms of trying to get back up to the transfer spot, because they are not gaining on this second pack.
Aaron Smith, by the way, out of this race, having computer issues, we've been told, and that's the reason that he started from the pit lane and everything, so he will not make his way in through this. He's going to have to.
Here we go.
Get it done through the soup. Here's the second pack. They have arrived at their destination with 17 laps to go.
They can't stay single file like this, can they? There's no way. So they're all going to be racing for it up here. Who's the first one to duck out of line? Looks like Logan Helton up there. Looks like Matt Spalding will follow suit. And oh yeah, everybody. He's going to start moving around now. Malik Ray jumps in the line. He's got Michael Guest, Dylan Basin behind them in the 04. So this, as the great Jim Ross would say, business is about to pick up here in the front of the field.
Picking off cars one by one. Guest pushing Ray to the outside. Some lap traffic ahead. But here they come already into the top 5. The lap traffic that is in front of the race leaders. Vincent Cortez, Kevin King. Now, he's just out here for fun. He's locked in on points. So he doesn't have to finish in the top 33. Or in the top 16, rather. He's about to go a lap down, which means there would be only 2 spots remaining as far as points to lock themselves in. So Kevin King taking full advantage, just riding around. He did his lap in like 5th and a half gear. Really slow. It was the slowest time that we had. But he's just here having a good time. And I'm sure we'll see him try next week in the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Doucette goes a lap down too, by the way. He lost the draft after spinning it coming onto pit road.
And Kevin just made a mockery of qualifying, as we would say, but he knew he was locked in as the defending champion, so he knew what he was doing. But here we go. The shift has moved to the top lane. Around the wall, Parker White, Seth Knoll, Kevin McAdams, Cosmin Yonishu, and Malik Ray, your front five. As it's really the par for the race is played out like this. These five guys up here have been up at the front, minus Malik. It seems like he's been playing catch-up all race, but you knew he was going to get up here. So just a matter of time before we see who is going to put themselves in the right spot. And right now they shift back towards the bottom, and Malik and Michael Guest say thank you very much. We will charge up through the field up to the top spot. They're already up to second, challenging for the lead going into one.
Well, and the danger, Sean, of going all the way up to the outside wall and junior lining it is the fact that, you're all bunched up into one line. So if somebody lifts, if somebody brushes the wall, everybody behind him is going to feel that. Same thing if you go to the inside line and somebody has to lift. That opens up the window, I think, for more accidents than this side-by-side stuff does. Because if you're all in a single file line, everybody's going to go different directions, everybody's going to scatter, and then they're all going to come back together anyway. At least when you're double file, you've got cars split evenly, and if something goes wrong, hopefully there's enough room where you can all sort it out.
And I mean, when we saw that shift up to the outside lane, I was going to talk about how Malik Ray and Michael Guest especially were going to feel that, because you saw as soon as they went back down to the bottom, the 9 car and the 007, they have just been on fire when it comes to passing people on the outside. So when you take that line away from them, it kind of honestly neutralizes their threat. Whereas if you run this bottom, it gives them that space to operate. Whereas again, if you were running on the outside, they wouldn't have that.
Oh man, Scotty Smith put Spalding in the wall. And Smith to the middle, far to help him. Here comes Stewart. Spalding gets the help from Kolonix, and look at this top 10, top 7 even, just pulling away from everybody else.
And they're going to get accordion back here, but look at the front of the field, and Parker White, Malik Ray, Michael Guest, familiar names here, a bunch of Coke drivers leading this thing. And if you're new to FTF, you'll see a bunch of these guys up in these races. This race brings out the best of the best on iRacing on the oval side, and you're seeing it right here. Some of the who's who in the Coke series and in official everywhere come together to run this race, and they're putting on a show up at the front. But look at this bottom side. Seth Knoll, Kevin McAdams, Cosmin Yonishu, as we see Nate Stewart just blocking everywhere back here. But Knoll's going to pull up to the side of Parker White, and he's going to challenge that 11 for the lead.
And Nate Stewart, even though he's already locked in, he's back near the cut line. He is in the 13th position with where Kevin is at right now. Inside the top 16, we take 17 drivers to the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Your top 17 will advance at this point in time. At the line, that position belonged to Joseph Causey, but he's already been passed by Spencer Ray. So a lot of shuffling at the cut line with them too wide the whole way through the pack with 11 to go.
Yeah, I mean, getting to this point in the race with almost single digits left remaining, the tension and the urgency is really starting to ramp up for these guys that are sitting around this cut line now with a few lap cars sprinkled in there. So it's really difficult to kind of navigate where you need to be and what kind of moves you have to make. As you see Ryan Doucette even now left out to dry, and he might try to find a spot in front of Brian Mercurio, but I'm not so sure that's going to be there. Looking back right now, guys like Spencer Ray, Joseph Causey, Corey Carpenter, all these guys need to figure something out quick because time is ticking and running out quickly.
10 laps to go in the second duel here at Daytona. Just a reminder, 7 days to the Barr Visuals FTF 500. You can find it here on FTF_GG. For more information, to sign up, you'd be entered into the alphabet soup, which you'll see here Friday night. Go to FTF.GG for all of that information, whole lot more. You register for the race, you'll be registered for the entire season. And even if you didn't qualify, you'll be entered into the D main, and you have to make your way to the Tiny Text 500 and win it in order to have a shot to race against, well, just about half of this group in the Barr Visuals FTF 500. 9:15 p.m. Eastern is when we get rolling here from Daytona. For the lead, White and Knoll side by side off turn 2.
There's no way they can make it back all the way with no caution, is it?
Well,
I don't know.
There's
man.
usually a wild one and a calm one. So far, this has proven to be the calm one.
Well, it's starting to turn into the wild one here as the guys up front, they are just pushing and shoving constantly. Kevin McAdams just shoving Seth Knoll out to the lead. It shoved him all the way up to the top lane. Parker White looks like he's going to pick him up. Thought Parker would try to do the crossover move to the bottom, but he's going to stay glued to the rear bumper of Seth. And right now, this top lane, they're clear by 4 cars right now. Dylan Basin trying to make it 5, and McAdams and Cosmin Yonishu down at the bottom. Look for them to charge up to the top.
Here comes Basin to the inside, down in front of Kevin with a run. Side by side with Guest. Now gets alongside Malik Ray down the back straightaway. Your top 3 on the outside, single file, side by side, 4th on back. Watch out for that 88. Remember, he is not on the lead lap, but he's up here having an impact in this thing.
And I mean, right now, it almost feels counterintuitive for these guys to really be all racy up at the front. I mean, look at your ticker right now, and look at how many names are white right there in the top 5, outside of Kevin McAdams, and even in the top 10. A lot of these guys need good runs, and I mean, I feel like if you're safely inside the top 16, your finishing position here isn't going to matter all that much, whereas if you were to be in a wreck or something like that, you could find yourself on the outside looking in.
Off turn 2, 7 laps to go. Seth Knoll is out in front here at Daytona. Parker White pushing him, but here comes Basin down on the inside line, and that 04 side by side. Here comes Knoll, drops to the bottom. Big block there on Dylan Basin.
That's going to pick
and
up the
Scotty
bottom.
Smith. Look out. We're good.
He's good. He's going to corral it, but that is a risky move by Seth Knoll right in front of Dylan Basin. Dylan was coming with a head of steam with a big shot from Kevin McAdams, and they had to check the bottom lane all the way up to make that move work. As we look on board now with Dylan Basin, and he's showing a lot more calmness than I would right now having to deal with that, but looking right out to the front bumper of Seth Knoll, going to give it a shot, and that's what you want to do right there. Just give him an even shot right there. That is the best way to push, and look at all of the ground they're making up going into 3. So back to side by side for the top spot again.
That's the confidence the native of Lakeland, Florida has as they come around to 5 laps to go. By the way, Scotty Smith, that was not for position. He is a lap down. 5 laps to go. One single hand from Barney the flagman. Dead even at the line. Your leader, can't call it. I guess it's Parker White, and it was a tie. Zeros across the scoreboard as they head to turn 1.
And it really shows you how much this energy matters here at Daytona, where it is give and take. You'll see down the backstretch here, it's going to be that outside lane once again with Parker White, Malik Ray, Michael Guest. We've seen those two work together so well so far here tonight. This inside lane in turn 3 and 4, hoping for a better deck of cards. Looking at Matt Spalding even back there. I mean, it's starting to get dicey. AJ Green had a big moment out of turn 4 last time by. Jay Cook, Ryan Doucette, Spencer Ray, Josh Stoltz, Joseph Kazi, all of these guys are in the thick of it for this transfer spot.
4 to go. Trying to side draft up here at the front. Knoll on the inside, White on the outside. And keep in mind, with where these guys are at, both drivers are in. They do not have to race any more here at the front than they need to because your top 17 are in the show. The battle is for the transfer spot because Kevin McAdams is in your top 6. If you're in the back of this pack, though, you're going to want to get to the front because you're going to want to have a shot to get yourself in. The only thing that matters right here in this battle at the front of the field is where you're starting on Saturday. 3 laps to go.
And it's a pride thing, no doubt. These guys are in this thing, and if they're up at the front, they're going to want to try to win it, no doubt. So they're all going to be fighting, especially for the win and especially for that transfer spot, which is currently being held by Jake Poulin back there. So he in that, I guess, he's in the 053, I guess. That's a big 0. He is definitely right there. There we see Kwami's on pit road. One of them ducking out of line. Who is that down there? That's the 40.
Lap down, Cortez.
Good call by him to let these guys race it out. So up at the front of the field, still more of the same. Parker White with a nose out in front. Malik with a big push to him, and Seth Knoll trying to trying to get Dylan Basin to help him out to the front. The question is now, who is going to make the aggressive move to get as far away from that transfer spot as they can in this mid-pack?
2 laps to go here at the start-finish line in duel number 2. Can the engine survive? The problem right now could be pushing too much, not having enough to push on the last lap, or you just blow the thing up. If you blow up, you're going to be in trouble, and the field behind you is going to be in trouble. Ask Michael P. Frisch.
And I mean, that's the big thing, is everybody scattering. If we do encounter that, as you see, wow, big move right there. Malik Ray still glued to the back end of Parker White, and you're starting to see this top lane kind of wiggle around just a little bit, trying to have as much energy, as much momentum as possible. Either way, here we come to the white flag. It's Parker White.
At the white flag, we made it wire to wire. Good luck, everybody. The field back to turn 1. Your top 3 pull away. Here comes Ray to the inside. He's going to take the lead. White with no help. He's got Spalding to the outside. White tries to side draft. Wheel to wheel for second with Guest. He about puts Spalding in the wall. He gets turned. Can he save it? Yes. Spalding's going to lose time. Kolonix gets him. Your top 2 break away. Guest shoves Ray down the back straightaway. Your top 2 out in front. Here comes the one of Seth Noel on the outside. He looks to the bottom. He can't get it done. Things calm down at the front. Now here comes Noel. Here comes Spalding. Eyes back to the transfer spot. They're 3 and 4 wide. Cosman gets turned. He's going to be out. Malik Ray will get it at the line. Who is in?
Joseph Causey.
Nate Stewart is the 17th car. Nate Stewart is in. Causey, Poulin, Cosman, Cattell all out. And Malik Ray wins duel number 2 at Daytona in a wild finish.
Oh boy.
Now Kevin finished inside the top 16. So instead of 16, it goes to 17. Nate Stewart, P17, is in. Now he already was locked in on points. He is in based off of his position on the racetrack. Netcode is what got Cosman turned by Parker White. Here's the replay. Oof. Bad netcode there, and it kicked Cosman off of, I think, Logan Helton. Hard hit to the inside wall for the 84. Your top 17 are official. We'll see if Cosman can get in. Well, he was locked in anyway because of speed.
He's on speed, right.
Yeah, so he would have been all right anyway. So your defending champ will have a shot to try and go for 2 here at Daytona. But finishes E20. Another angle.
Trying to unpack all this. So they're trying to make the middle work. And looks like they just got into each other. And there you see Cosmo and Nate Stewart, that red, blue, orange, and white car number 4. Sneaks in there on the bottom, and he will sneak into the Barr Visuals FTF 500. And everyone else from Joseph Causey on back will have to work a little bit harder how to make it to the big show next week.
There are your results. Malik Ray, your winner. Michael Guest second. Seth Noel third. Dylan Basin fourth. Matt Spalding in fifth. Sixth belongs to Alex Kolonix. AJ Green, good run for him. He was pretty silent all night. He finished seventh. Brian Mercurio 8th. Kevin McAdams 9th. Austin Farr 10th. Those top 10, they are in. We'll see them next week.
Parker White was your leader at the white flag. He finishes 11th, a big drop for him. Logan Helton, Corey Carpenter in 13th. Jay Cook finishes 14th. Spencer Raitt comes home in the 15th position. John Poole in 16th position. Nate Stewart, your last car to transfer in 17th. Joseph Causey, first car out in 18th. Jake Poole in 19th. And Cosman Ionescu, we saw in that last lap spin, rounds out your top 20.
And Brandon Cattell in 21st, Chris Wetz 22nd, Matthew Zwack, Brett Pancari, Jordan Worth, John Goke, David Cabrera, Art Reimer, Derek Edgerton, and Kwame Scott will round out your front 30. And then David Robertson, Kevin King, Ryan Doucette, Josh Stoltz, Scotty Smith, Frank DeAngelis, Vincent Cortez, Andy Margot, and Aaron Smith Jacob will round out the 39 cars in this field. What a race.
Okay, roughly looking at the math here. drivers that were locked in on time. There are 4 of them in total. Liam Brotherton is one from Duel 1. Cosman, Doucette, and Worth, all outside the top 17. Cosman, Doucette, and Worth are the last 3 to transfer on speed. So the 4 getting in off of qualifying time: Brotherton, Cosman on SU, Ryan Doucette, Jordan Worth. Chris Overland is out. Aaron Smith is out by 1/1000th of a second. We'll sort out points here in a little bit more. But if Cosman was in, I believe Overland would have been Smith would have been the guy to get in. He had the tiebreaker because he signed up first. But because Cosman crashed coming to the line, Aaron Smith will have to do it the hard way through the tiny text.
I think we need to catch our breath a little bit there after that last one. Very good job by all these guys to go caution-free in this race. So let's not lose sight of that. So good job, everybody, to keep that thing going from start to finish. And we saw green flag pit stops were the key to this thing. And I think we got a good gauge from both of these races, guys, of how next week's races are going to go, especially the big show in the Barr Visuals FTF 500 next week. So you saw your normal players up at the front of the field, everyone knowing what they're doing up at the front, were able to stay up there. But the people that were able to keep their cars clean and put themselves in the right spot at the end of this thing were the ones to beat. And there is just way too much talent coming into this race next Saturday, and I'm pumped. I'm kind of nervous too for this thing because I'll be in it, but it's definitely going to be a damn good time. And don't forget about the C/D mains and the tiny text. Those are going to be incredible races as well.
No doubt about it. How about a couple of rookies making the show here tonight? Parker White, technically a rookie, even though I believe he had a couple of starts last year. Had 2 poles at the Roval and Homestead and a win at Texas. He makes it in. Jay Cook in his first start, he's going to make it in. Same with Austin Farr. That's at least out of Duel 2. From Duel 1, Nick Roten, Garrison Hogan, Daniel Botafuco, Daniel Falkingham, Derek Justice. Technically, he is marked as a rookie according to the roster. Jack Mace as well. We'll check up on everybody else here that may be in as far as a provisional. So, final thoughts, gentlemen, headed into the Soup 6 days from now.
Yeah, this is just going to be a great event either way. I mean, you saw just the difference in driving style there. It was so much fun watching guys like Michael Guess and Malik Ray work together, especially on the high side there. I think you'll just see a great mix of different techniques from these drivers next week. And before even that, we have the Soup to get through, as you said, which is going to be fun as well. Either way, next gen's at Daytona. We'll get this thing whittled down to the best of the best, and it's going to be a great time getting there.
John, anything?
I mean, I can only echo what Caleb said. I mean, everybody, it's all come down to this next set of races next weekend. And it's going to be busy. You know, we got a bunch of stuff coming up here on FTFGG, a lot of exciting action coming your way here from the Daytona International Speedway. And I'm just glad I don't have to go through it. I'm going to be honest. So I just got to sit back, relax, and wait till the Barr Visuals FTF 500 race day to get locked in. But you guys stay tuned here to FTF. We got a lot of great races coming up, and it's going to be a lot of drama. If you guys have seen these races before, there's been some action on the last lap of these things and some crazy moments. So be sure not to miss it. You guys are going to be in for a good time next week for sure.
All right. Your field is set outside of the Tiny Text Challenger. Your 4 drivers in on qualifying: Cosman, Doucette, Worth, Brotherton. We knew those 4. Your 5 on points. Just did the math here. Kinda. Okay, yep, okay, I can't read. Anyway, Kevin King, because of points. Tinsley, because of points. Oates, Poulin, Chris Wetz. Your sponsor provisional, Dalen Barr, is running his own race, the Barr Visuals FTF 500. He will be running next week. And on my sheet, I had Zwack marked down 15th in points, but I had Kevin King at the bottom of my sheet and completely ignored his existence, even though I had him circled that he was locked in. So, my bad. Zwack is going to be on the outside, and he's going to have to race his way in through the tiny text. And 3 spots away in points, Jake Poulin getting that last points-paying spot. There you see it. There you saw it.
There it is. And it's gone.
Yeah. So, what a wild night. So, coming up here on FTF, I have no clue because Zach doesn't tell me anything. The core season finale from Atlanta, Old Atlanta, Good Atlanta, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on FTF. We have the Alphabet Soup. That is Friday. That starts at... that starts at 7 p.m. on Friday, February 10th, so 6 days from now, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on FTF. The C-Main right after at 8 p.m. here on FTF. The Tiny Text 500K, which is 125 laps, that's at 9:30. And from there, one driver will advance to the Barr Visuals FTF 500. That 500-mile, 200-lap race begins 9:15 p.m. next Saturday, February 11th. Plan accordingly. See you all right here next week. It's a busy end and start to the seasons. Core ending and FTF beginning. For Kevin McAdams, Sean Butler, Caleb Hoffman alongside me, I'm Jacob Pitts. Thanks to Zach Johnson for pushing all the buttons behind the scenes. The FTF admins for keeping everybody's heads on straight. We'll see you next week for the Alphabet Soup leading to the Barr Visuals FTF 500. Your field all but set.